Hi, Mom. Cooper also says hi. I don't know. I thought I'd shake these intros up a little bit. It's true. My mom does listen to pretty much every episode, though. So hi, Mom. Hope you enjoy this episode. And same with everybody else. Today's guest is Hannah Dolson. Hannah is a 26-year-old singer born and raised in Simcoe, Ontario. You can often find her dabbling in several areas of local entertainment, whether that's local music festivals or events with her band, the Echelon, taking part in local short films and modeling projects, or even strutting the stage at pinup pageants, which we discussed further in the podcast what pinup actually is. You can also find Hannah playing a array of fun roles at the Simcoe Little Theatre. You're going to run into Hannah somewhere. Not to mention Hannah's debut role directing her very first play, The Little Shop of Horrors, at the Simcoe Little Theatre, running November 21st to December 8th. Get your tickets because they are live right now. And now for today's cocktail. And I just want to mention, this is my personal favorite cocktail so far. So if you're going to make one of these cocktails from this podcast, you want to say something, Cooper? This is the one to make. Enjoy.
We've got a fun twist on an espresso martini today. Introducing the Echelon brew. In a shaker, combine 1 ounce vodka, 1 ounce chocolate liquor, 1 ounce of espresso, a half ounce of Grand Marnier, and a half ounce of simple syrup. Add ice and shake well. Pour into a chilled coupe glass. Lastly, garnish with some shaved dark chocolate. The Echelon brew offers the perfect balance of rich chocolate and zesty orange, with the espresso adding boldness and depth. Now here is the star herself, Hannah Dolson.
Hey you, you're listening to Just Drew, Just Drew, Just Drew.
Yeah.
Okay, cool. Oh, I guess I should shut off Taylor Swift.
You don't have to.
I'm seeing her next month.
Me too.
Are
Me
you?
too. What day?
I don't know. I have to ask Ashley. Not the first day. I think it's the second one.
We're going on the 15th.
Oh, okay. Maybe it's overlapping.
Dude.
We're in the bleeders, though. Far up there.
We're in like the 200s, I think.
That's pretty good.
Yeah.
I know a guy, he got like 4 tickets, 2 in the bleeders and 2 like third row.
Mm-hmm.
And he was just going to sell the third row tickets for like triple the price and then pay his student like his tuition with it, and then still go, but take the bleeder seats.
Yeah.
And I was like, okay, that's kind of smart.
Yeah.
Like you pay your student loan off, very smart, but then you still get to go and experience the show and stuff. So I wouldn't say I'm like a Swiftie per se. I can't quote every song, but I do really like her music.
Wait. It's just not a matter of like if, it's when.
Yeah.
You know, you listen to enough and you're like,
well, we had her music like for our wedding. Like Ashley walked down to Taylor Swift, and I think I walked down to Taylor Swift too.
oh.
Yep. And we walked out to Drake, Best Time of Our Lives. What does that song called? Anyways.
Oh, you don't remember your wedding song?
Well, it was like the exit song.
Oh, okay.
Best Time. Oh, fuck. No, I'll figure it out. Well, welcome to the podcast.
Yeah. Thank
Yeah.
Yeah.
So you've never done one before?
No.
But you've performed a lot, so.
Yeah.
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 And you have, did you perform recently? You performed at the fair?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. How did that go?
Oh my God, it was so good.
Yeah.
It was so good. It was like packed. Like, yeah.
It's in that building next to where our booth is,
Yeah,
I think.
you guys are right next. Yeah.
It's always packed in there. It's where the drinks are.
We always try to like come up with a theme for like our outfits, and our theme almost was we were all gonna wear folk fits.
Oh, that would have
Like,
been cool.
straight up.
We would have sponsored you guys. That would have been fun.
Oh shit. Well,
Yeah.
next year.
Next year, let us know.
Cool beans. Cool beans.
And your band's called
Lovely.
Echelon?
The Echelon.
The
yeah.
Echelon. And I was looking that up. What does Echelon mean? Do you know?
It's like the highest of heights or something, right? Like it's like the echelons of the upper echelons.
Yes.
Like that kind of vibe.
Okay.
Yeah.
That's what ChatGPT told me. We call him Chad.
Chad?
For short.
That's cute.
Yeah.
That's
to
cute.
double check definitions.
Yeah.
All right, buddy. It's time to go in your tree.
Caper. Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh yeah.
There you go. See you later. You know what he was doing yesterday? He was underneath my chair. I was sitting like this, and I put jeans on anticipating, because we haven't done a podcast in a month. I'm like, I know I know he's going to go after me. And he was just getting the gap here where my Achilles is and just nipping it. I'm like, oh, you little shit. I'm trying not to interrupt the conversation.
Oh my
But
God.
it's pretty much impossible right now because, yeah, if I lock him up, he freaks out. And then if I don't, he bites me. So there's no...
Yeah, it was pretty good watching him. But I got a good view from here because I could see him like under the chair, just stalking your ankles, being like, "Oh."
I had his tree here, and we had Amy Martin on, and he like slowly, it's hilarious, slowly crawled down, bit my arm so gently, and then went back up in the tree, and he's like, "Yeah, fuck you."
Oh my gosh.
Yeah.
When are you gonna have Cooper as a guest? You know.
He's
Every
he makes
time.
himself a guest.
He doesn't like wearing the headphones though.
No. We'll have to get him little Cooper headphones. She's adorable. No, we've tried putting a collar on him. He figures out how to, he like brings his jaw underneath and unclips it. And he would spin the clip around so it reached where his mouth is.
Shit.
And then he'd slip his teeth under and then unclip the collar. You can't put anything on him.
He's a smart little boy.
He's a smart little wild, cute little evil, entertaining little shit.
I love it.
But I love him to death. So
Love it.
Yeah.
so Echelon, and you have a play coming up.
I do.
And
I do.
And it's the first time you've directed a play.
Yeah.
Yeah. But you've
Yeah.
acted in plays.
Yeah.
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 How did that come about? Did they approach you? Did you were like, I want to direct?
I approached them. This would have been probably just after the pandemic, like maybe in like early 2022.
Okay.
And I was just chatting with a couple of my theater elders. I was like, oh, I don't want to say that. And then they're like, we're not old, but
Elders as in knowledgeable.
yeah,
experienced,
wise,
wise.
like wizards or something. You know? Like they know what they're doing. They have the orb and the
Gandalfs.
sights. And,
Yes.
Yeah. So I asked them, I'm like, can I direct like the winter show and like the 2024-2025 season? And they were like, yeah, sure. And I was like, okay, here we are.
That was it.
And that was it.
How many plays have you been in, like, just for experience wise?
I started young. Like I was, we had little school plays. I went to Elgin Ave and we had like little ones
Okay.
and I was in those.
Okay.
But I kind of like, you know, you get to like 13, 14, you get really insecure. So I was like, I'm not doing that ever. And then, in like actually the first musical that I did, to kind of just start off in high school was Little Shop of Horrors,
Okay.
which is the one I'm directing.
Okay.
And so that was my first kind of go at it. I played like one of the trio and they kind of, they narrate the whole show.
Yeah.
And so they sort of walk around and they talk about what's happening. They sing about what's going on.
Okay.
So I did that one. I did Susicle at Simcoe Little
Oh,
Theatre.
nice.
Yeah.
Okay.
Cabaret at Simcoe Little Theatre. And then 25th Annual Putnam County Spelling Bee at Simcoe Little Theatre, which was my first lead role. And that was really fun. And then last year, I did Race Day and White Christmas, which
Cool.
were both lead roles. So that was really fun.
Cool.
So, yeah.
Is this something you want to do long term as a career? Do you want to get into Broadway or anything like that, or just
No.
it's just something you really enjoy?
I just enjoy it. Yeah. I think too with Broadway, like you got to be able to dance. I can't dance for shit.
You know?
It's
like I can move.
There's a trifecta. There's singing, acting, dancing.
Yeah.
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 I see.
Yeah. You'd need a body double if you want me to dance.
Oh, so not much of a dancer, but can sing and
No.
act.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. I hope-
Would
yeah.
you ever want to be like in movies or on TV shows?
That
or?
would be fun.
Yeah?
That would be fun for sure.
Okay.
Yeah. I never really I don't know. I don't really have any qualms or like I have many whims, but no like, you know, what do I want to do? I have no clue.
Yeah.
I don't have time to think about it. I just keep doing shit. I don't know.
Well, that's the best thing to do.
Isn't it great?
I mean, you're still young and in your 20s. It's like it's the best decade to just try things
Yeah.
and see what you like and don't like, because you know you don't have a lot of burdens or kids or bills or mortgages, and it's like you can kind of take those risks and things like
Yeah,
that.
exactly.
Exactly. So that's pretty much what I did in my 20s, and partied obviously, had
Yeah,
fun,
too much
Oh, yeah.
and traveled.
Oh yeah.
Yeah. Okay, and so what is the Little Shop of Horrors about?
So it's set against the backdrop of very kind of low income area in the 60s
Okay.
in the Bronx, I believe. I'm kind of setting it in New York.
Okay.
And basically there's this this guy named Seymour, and he works at a little rundown flower shop, and he finds this weird plant one day during a total eclipse of the sun because the lights just go out, and then suddenly this plant shows up
Ooh.
at this little Chinese flower shop that he goes to. And
Okay.
he's like, oh, and he buys it for $1.95. And then he doesn't know what's wrong with it, and it just keeps like kind of wilting and not working. I don't know, like just not being a good plant. And one day he pricks his finger on some roses, and then the plant kind of bucks up, and he figures out that what the plant wants is blood.
Oh no.
Yeah.
This
And
is
it
where the
just goes
horror
from
comes
there.
in.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
I see.
Mm-hmm. And it just,
Yeah,
It's like an
not to
alien.
divulge too
Yeah.
much. But, and when's your play playing? When can people go and see it?
November 21st to December 8th.
And tickets are on sale?
Yes.
Nice.
Yes. You can get them at Simcoe Little
Oh,
Theatre
we'll have to go.
website.
I would
you
love
guys
to
have
go.
to go.
I love plays. Like when I go to a play, I'm always like, this is so underrated and it's such a cool thing to experience.
Yeah.
Mhm.
And this is like full on. We have, we got these massive puppets from a theater in Sarnia because the plant itself is a puppet, and there's like 4 stages of it.
I see.
So there's a little one.
It's like a little Pokemon.
Yeah. Yeah. Oh, it evolves. It evolves.
Yeah.
Let me tell you. Oh,
Yeah.
yeah. And the biggest one, if you want, I can show you a picture of it. I'm not showing people pictures of it really yet.
Okay.
But if it, honestly, because you might go, holy shit. And then, like, it's a little crazy looking. And then people are like, you have that? And I'm like, yep. And they're like, is it going to fit? And I'm like, I don't know.
Yeah, I want to see this. I'm
hope so.
excited. The thing about plays is I find them just like way more engaging than like you're on Netflix. Like even if it's a show I really like, I'm
Yep.
still gonna be on my phone
Yep.
and I'm still gonna be scrolling Netflix or Instagram
Yep.
while I watch Netflix. And then whenever I go to a play, it's just you're so
Fully engaged.
into it.
Well, because
yeah.
they're right there, right? And when it's community theater too, like you go and it's like you could see your coworker, you could
Yeah,
see
that's
your
another
friend,
cool
your
aspect of
family,
it,
right?
yeah.
Like, and they're just up there, and you're like, oh shit, like I know them.
They're
like,
doing that. Yeah.
Yeah, that's
Very
the coolest
cool.
part. So
Oh, sorry. Go ahead.
I'm so sorry. So this is the smallest one.
Oh, that's legit.
Oh, it's legit.
Is there a movie about this?
Yes, there is. It's one of my favorite movies
so
of all
I've
time.
seen this plant. I don't know if
Yeah.
I've seen the movie, but I've seen clips of this plant online and stuff and little
Mm-hmm.
memes, and I'm like, that looks identical to the. Is it look very close to the movie?
That's
Yes.
the big one.
I think I've seen it from Super Mario.
Oh yeah.
So is the movie like a full-on horror? Or is it a little bit whimsical?
yeah. Oh yeah.
So is someone playing, like someone is operating that?
Yeah. So the biggest one takes 2 puppeteers, and then
Whoa.
the third one has my friend Naomi. She is in there, just giving her basically.
Let's go to Naomi.
Yep.
Okay.
And the second one, Mac, who's playing Seymour,
Yeah.
he gets to control that one. I think he's obsessed with the thing. He loves it. It's like the most fun thing. And then the little one is also Naomi. So
Okay.
yeah.
Okay.
Very cool.
Very cool.
Very
and
cool. Yeah.
is
Keep
this-
going. Sorry, I interrupted you.
What was I gonna say? I want to stay on the play thing, but
Yeah.
I was saying I'm a huge movie buff and I love the movie theater, and it's kind of like that where your full attention is on it, but also you get to experience with it a crowd of people. So it's like when there's a joke delivered at a comedy movie or whatever, like everyone laughs and it seems funnier and it seems like
Kind of like a laugh track.
like a
have you ever seen,
community
like,
thing.
Those
Or-
like sitcoms where they take the laugh track out and they like
It's
play with
so
it. And it's like, oh, this
awkward.
isn't good. This is not funny.
Or like if you're really into superheroes, like when the Avengers movies came out and everybody's are cheering when a certain superhero comes out that they surprise. I'm like, oh, I love that so much. Just like this community feeling, everybody's cheering and clapping. It's like you don't get that at home on your couch.
Yeah.
No.
And with
So-
the theater too, it's like, yeah, it's a comedy as well,
Okay, that's what I was
which is the
wondering.
best part.
Okay.
Yeah. So you're laughing the whole time.
I see.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
And so it's already a play and there's already a full script, but can you alter it? Are there rules around that, or you have to do identical line for line?
So line for line, it's you can change certain lines if you need to.
Okay.
Like if they're like a little too much line wise, then we just change it. I know there are like a lot of lines in it that say stuff like God or damn
see,
or shit.
yeah.
So while I would say those lines, the actor who is saying those lines won't. But he's just replaced them with other words like shit and fuck. He's just, I'm like, all right, like
That works.
I guess tit for tat.
Yeah.
But you can't like change elements of it.
Okay.
or else MTI, which is like Music Theatre International, who is the one that rents out the scripts and the
Copywriting,
scores.
and I understand.
If you change it, they can like sue you. I think. I don't know. Don't
so
quote me on that.
they're licensing you the rights to use this play, and
Yeah.
you need to. I understand.
Yeah, and I think it's the same thing too. Like, I think they just changed it where one of the characters can be the opposite gender, and so I have that in the show as well, just because it was easier to cast that way.
Opposite. Okay.
But that's pretty much it. They're kind of like a little stingy on it. But
Do they ever send people to check up on you?
I don't know.
They could be.
I don't know.
They could be out
It's
there.
like those like OLG people, you know, like coming to check on convenience stores. Like I don't know. I'm not sure. You
Ash
never
had
know.
they're not the LCBO, but they're the liquor
control board.
Well, not them. There's a different acronym, but it was like a weekend of her being. I don't know if this is public knowledge yet. I probably shouldn't say that. Her new position, and these people showed up like 3 days in.
Sick.
We need a tour of your whole place, and also, can we bring 14 trainees next month? We need to train them all, and you can't really say no.
Yeah.
They have they flip a little badge out. Like, yeah.
I used to work at Rolston's, and so I got trained on like the lottery counter stuff.
Right.
So they tell you to like you have to get ID no matter what. Like even if the guy's like
It's
in
like
his 60s.
a granny with a cane.
Yep.
I see.
Yep. Because OLG will send people that are like in their 70s, and if you don't ID them, oh yeah.
That's crazy though.
That seems a little
Yeah.
ridiculous. Like I feel like they should at least be a little lenient and be like, hey, Hannah knows if someone's at least above 50.
Yeah.
She has the wits to
Yeah.
know.
Yeah.
You know, like
If you
Yeah.
don't trust me to do that, then you guys can.
it seems kind of silly.
Isn't it?
Like I went to the beer store. I'm 30. I went to the beer store. I don't think I look 18, and I have a wedding ring on. You know,
Yeah.
older people things, and they
Yeah.
wouldn't give me beer. I just didn't have my wallet, but I have my electronic wallet. Sometimes I forget my wallet. I have ADHD, so
It happens.
I keep it on my phone, my Visa,
Yeah.
and they wouldn't give it to me. And I'm like, you think I'm 18? Oh, we just don't know.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I get it. I can't get mad at you. You're just following the rules, but it's like,
I've had that too, especially when like I'll go with Summer and I'll be carrying it, and then I'll try to buy it, and I don't have my ID, and then Summer's like, "Well, I'll buy it." I'm like, "No, they won't let you."
Yeah.
And they're just like, "Yeah, sorry, like you were carrying it, we can't let her buy it."
you could be
now."
Summer's son.
Yeah, and I'm just like, and I remember the one girl was so upset. She's like, "I'm so sorry." I'm like, "No, I get it," but I was visibly upset too because I'm just like, now I just have to drive somewhere else
Yeah.
to get. It's just like an extra stop in my day that I was upset about.
I had it at the bar one time. This was like while the tavern was still open, like Norfolk and Port Dover. But
R.I.P.
yeah,
Yeah, I miss that place. I was I was living in Dover. I could walk there. I miss it. Anyways, let's not get too sad.
I know. I'm thinking about it. I'm like, oh, but I got ID'd there, and I would go there. There was a point I was like there every single weekend. We were always there to go see the bands and go drinking, and we'd be out till like 2 a.m, and then we come back. But one night, I went there, and like it was a different bartender, and she was like looking at my ID, and then she was looking at me, like did not believe that the person in my ID was me, and I'm like, okay. And also in the ID, I had my bangs down, but she made me lift my bangs up. And I'm like, huh? I was like, that's going to make me look less like that. And even like the friends that I was with, they were like, dude, she was here literally like 6 days ago. Like, what's going on?
Like
And
we know her.
yeah. And one of the other girls was like, oh, no, she's fine. And I was like, oh my gosh, like I'd never had that happen. And I'm like, bangs up? Really?
Some people just have power, and they're like, they
It's
need to use
scary.
it.
It's scary when you're excited for a night out,
Yeah.
and it could all be shut down
Yeah.
from someone saying, "No,
I know,
I've had
and then
that
I
happen."
have to go to Boston Pizza. No hate to Boston Pizza. I just
Well,
like, well,
It's no tavern,
no,
it's not a dive, you know. It's Boston Pizza. Sorry, Boston.
which I think Brandon was here yesterday. I don't know if it's public.
there goes
knowledge,
another sponsor.
but yeah, we shit on a lot of big companies.
Yeah.
I think Brandon did something about the tavern, a doc or a short
Oh, he
doc or-
did. Oh, we
we didn't
ask
even
him
talk about it.
Oh,
I don't
shit.
know if he's like putting
Yeah.
that out there, but it's out there now. Sorry.
Yeah. Well, I definitely posted it on stories.
Okay, yeah, so
maybe.
it's fine to talk about it. I hope. But anyways,
Sorry,
there's a
Brendan.
little short doc coming out hopefully about the tavern.
Yeah.
Really cool. Where was I gonna go with this? Oh, so I grew up in Hamilton, right?
Yeah.
You ever been to Hess? Hess
No.
Village?
This village, I've heard.
Do you know
of
what
it,
Hess
so-
Village is? So it's a road. It's like a T, and it's just full of bars, like maybe 10, 12 different bars and different clubs, and some are a little bougie, some are pub-like, and usually the bouncers are often running into fake IDs, but they'll keep them. And sometimes when you're freshly 19 and you go and that's a real ID, they'll keep your real ID because they think it's fake, which is super legal. You cannot detain someone's identification, but they would. And you would have to like wait the next day to get your driver's license back. It was a bit of a nightmare.
That's bad.
Yeah. I haven't been since COVID. And plus I'm a little bit older now. I don't really want to party with fake 19-year-olds. So, but yeah, if you're ever in Hamilton, Hess Villages, I don't know what it's like post-COVID. I haven't been post-COVID.
I don't think I've ever been there, but
It's sick. You just club hop, essentially. It's downtown. Like one's very into EDM, and then the other one's maybe more rock, and then one's just like a pub with like a punk rock band, and then
I do fuck with live music. I love live music. Live music at bars.
Yeah, it's a cool space. Used to go in my youth before I moved here. I know I'm a fake local. I'm a phony.
God.
I have family here. My whole mom's side's here. My mom grew up here.
Yeah.
I grew up coming here and coming to festivals, and like I pretty much grew up here. I just didn't grow up like in the school system. So I know Norfolk very well, but it's a little ironic because I have a brand around it, and people are like, oh, where do you live? I just Langton. I don't tell them like, oh, I'm from Hamilton. But I've been here for almost 10 years. So
I think after you get the 10-year mark, I think you're local.
Yeah, Norfolk gives you like a little plaque or something.
Yeah.
If you ever shotgunned a beer in Norfolk, I think you're.
Oh yeah.
That's like your. That's your christening. If you've ever.
I've been to every bar. I know all the business owners.
Yeah.
I go to Joy's all the time, so that counts.
Exactly. Exactly. Yeah.
We'll allow it.
Okay.
Yeah. Just this once. Yeah.
Do I get the key to the city at all, or is that only for like born?
We'll talk to Amy about that.
Okay. All right. Well, we're friends.
She'll say yeah.
Because you were born and raised here, right?
Me? Yeah. Simcoe. Yeah. Norfolk General.
That's what I was going to talk about. So I went to a high school in Hamilton called Hill Park, and it was a theater arts school.
Ooh.
So we had a program called Art Smart. Yeah. And it was only in a select few, they would put extra funding into arts. So I was never in theater, but I did do band. I played drums in jazz band and repertoire band and all that stuff. Yep. But I feel like you would have loved it. They did Shrek. They did, what's the comedy about Jesus with those British guys? Or maybe it's not the British guys, but it's a comedy. It's a theater show and it's about Jesus. That's the most I've got. But it was really funny. It was really good.
It's not Jesus Christ Superstar.
That's what I was. That's the only one in my head too.
Is it like this, like Spamalot? Like
that's what I was thinking, but I don't think it's Monty Python.
Yeah, I was thinking.
No,
Monty Python came to my head too.
Maybe I don't know if you want to ask Chad that, but it's gonna bug me.
Not Joseph and no.
Amazing
Technicolor Dreamcoat. No.
Ask Chad. Ask him. What was the Jesus play at the Hill Park High School Art Smart program? I don't know if it'll dig into the internet that deep. You never know though. In Hamilton.
Sometimes I'll look up things I'm doing. So like on ChatGPT and stuff like that to see if I can train it to like learn about me and like the band.
Do you notice it updates memory?
Yeah, every time I tell it something,
freaks me out because
I'll
ask it a question. It's like, well, based on like this and that from you told, I'm like, whoa.
Maybe just look up what is that musical about Jesus?
Musical about Jesus.
Probably gonna be like, oh fuck,
Jesus Christ Superstar.
Not Jesus Christ Superstar. Oh my gosh.
You know what?
The Book of Mormon? No. It's
not
the Book of Mormon.
Maybe. I think it is.
The Book of Mormon.
Hold
is
on.
so good.
I think it is. I'm gonna text my friend who was in the play.
Godspell?
No, I think it might be the Book of Mormon.
That's a good one.
Hey, what?
Maybe it was
what was that play?
I'm just chat.
Hill Park.
Sometimes I feel bad that I just use ChatGPT for information. Like sometimes just talk to it.
Yeah.
Talk to them.
He was in the Shrek. My buddy was in the Shrek one, and he played Donkey. He's super like.
Shrek's my favorite superhero.
How do you describe Josh Ducharme, the guy who slid? So I made him my beer boy at my wedding, and he slid on his dress pants down the grass
Animal.
with a beer. But he's an animal. But just like like the purest theater kid you could possibly picture in your head.
Always the theater kid.
Super like Jim Carrey type movements and dancing and singing and outgoing. And he's just, I love him so much. He's such a beauty. Super ADHD. Super
Vibes.
ADHD.
Ain't that the way? Ain't that the way?
So he's always mixed in with, I don't know, musicians. And what was he doing the other day? He got mixed into some kind of dance group. It was like a themed dance group. And each month they do like a themed thing. I don't know. I can't keep up with him. But anyways, I have a feeling
love it.
if he gets back to me, he'll know.
I mean, in Shrek the Musical too, that one's like a really big tech show. Like that's a little crazy.
Yeah. Good. Oh, I didn't plug it in.
Oh,
It should be
no.
100% though. Hold on. Pause.
Uh-oh.
I put a fresh battery in. That's strange. There's no way it died already.
I wasn't dead. It just wasn't recording.
Okay, it was recording. I checked it right before it was recording, so. And the shutter's at 1/80. That's fine.
You should have finished your espresso martini before.
I maxed the card.
Oh, shoot.
Mm.
I have one right here.
We
A
had one
256?
yesterday, and I have it backed up, but I get paranoid and I don't like to format the cards. Oh, it's because it's a one. That's fine.
It's a small one.
Just put that aside, just so I know
Okay.
the beginning of it's on there.
I know I used to like, when I was like, I don't know, 14, I used to like film covers and post them on YouTube. You'll
Aw.
never find them now.
No, that's what I hate people that do that and
well,
hide their YouTube.
Hate me all you want. It's privated.
That's fine. That's fine.
But when I used to, it was like I would record them on like a Canon Rebel like T3.
T3i, that was my first camera that I
It was
bought.
the red one, you know?
Mm.
And
Oh, you had a red one.
I had the red
Oh,
one.
you fancy.
Oh, I was so fancy. But when I used to record them, I had to get like I think it was like a 128 gigabyte card, just because even like recording for like, you know, however many 4-minute videos I was doing of the same song just to get it right.
Yeah, it would have been 1080 then, so.
Yeah. And
High
it was just kind of like clogging up the card big time. And I used to have like I think it was like I don't know, probably a 70 something gigabyte. And it wasn't enough.
Cutting it.
Yeah. So it's strange. I'm like,
Well, I
eh.
film guests in 4K so I can zoom in
Oh,
for
that's even
vertical
worse.
crop.
Yeah.
And then if I have 2 guests, I can punch into each one and not have 2 cameras.
Yeah.
It's expensive, but it'll fill up I had a 128 in there and it was left over, so that's
Yeah,
why
it
I didn't
filled
put the
up
bigger one in there.
And yes, it was a long one.
That's all right. There might be like a small gap.
Where do you think it cut off? Did it like stop?
Well, we're kind of recording sound. It's just visuals.
Vibes.
Yeah.
Cool.
We'll
Yeah.
just get a pretty picture.
Each
We'll
mic
just, like-
goes to the board and.
We'll just put some like pictures of me going like,
Well, I always,
Yeah, there we go.
it happens sometimes, and if anything cuts out, we just put your portrait in that we took. So,
oh, perfect.
and the first couple podcasts were a bit rough because we
still
figured out
learning.
on 4K, 100% battery, it'll cut out after an hour. So we need to plug it in directly to the wall.
Yep.
Then mine would overheat. at
Yours would
4K.
overheat, and we've slowly kind
And
of
the
tweaked it.
GoPro would die, and now
Yeah.
so everything's plugged in.
Everything's plugged in. We've kind of, we're on
We're
our
getting better and
20-something
better.
podcast now,
Yeah.
so we've kind of finessed things.
Yeah.
But it was a hump. And
Yeah.
we knew that though. I was like, we just got to start.
Yeah.
Yeah. Because it's not going to be perfect when you start.
No,
So like,
ne-
it'll
nothing
be
is.
perfect later. So you just got to keep going. you
Yeah.
know? So
And I had this plan for 6 months before even recording. I'm like, I can't wait another 6. I just got to dive in
no.
and just do it.
Yeah.
It's all
Yeah.
about getting
Yeah.
those reps in.
Yeah. And Eric and Ashley were the first one, and they were the #1 podcast since April. And then we had Dan Einen on, and
I was
he
just about to guess. I'm like 100%.
knocked them off
Yeah.
their throne, and he's #1 now.
Yeah.
Dan's great.
I missed him.
But I told Brandon and Ryan that yesterday because they're friends with Dan. I was like, I hope you guys knock him off his throne. And they're like, move out of the way, Dan. So,
Oh.
yeah, it should be a good one. The film ones always do well. It's weird that when I have a film guest on, pops off on YouTube.
Yeah.
And then Spotify, it's okay.
Yep.
And then like it's weird to see where different demographics like to watch
On
things.
different
I'm
platforms.
learning things. Yeah.
Yeah.
YouTube's very like photographers and videographers
Yeah.
and things. I feel like you might do well on YouTube, theater, acting, probably.
I liked I was listening to I love like the Amy Martin ones are great. Jason Mayo's was awesome. Love that
Jason
one.
Mayo's been bugging me. He wants to come on. I don't want to have Jason Mayo on again. We gotta have him on again.
All right.
Yeah, get Jason.
Jason,
on
we'll have
again.
you on again
Oh,
soon.
what a guy. Love him. And Graham's and then
Oh, Graham, yeah.
Yep.
Yeah, he's great.
Tyler's as well. Tyler's was really
That
good.
was good.
Yep,
too.
Tyler's
We've
good.
had a lot of
Awesome.
guests on. This is
And Dan's was awesome. Yeah, love Dan.
Yeah,
Love that guy.
Dan's a beaut.
He's a cool guy.
I never followed up if he invoiced the county.
No.
Remember he said he was going to do that?
I don't know if Dan remembers this, but he was my kindergarten buddy.
Like a
Your
reading buddy?
I think. I don't
Okay.
remember much of I don't really remember much of kindergarten, but I think it was like we had like computer lab or something,
Okay.
and I think he was like my buddy. I don't.
Aw,
That
that's
would make
cute.
sense.
That's the only way. Yeah.
We're same age, so I don't want to put your age on the internet. Well, actually, I did
Yeah,
it.
I'm
I did it in the
26.
intro. So 4-year gap, that would make sense.
Yeah.
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 Like an 8-year-old showing a 4-year-old.
I think.
How to use a
yeah.
computer?
Like if I'm not mistaken. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Now 4-year-olds are just given computers, and they
Yeah.
just
We
iPads.
still. I think this was like. Well, Elgin was. I mean, Elgin was pretty slow to the punch. I'm like at most. I love Elgin Avenue. I love them so much. But they were slow to the punch for a few things. But when it came to computer lab, we had the big thick computers
Oh,
for
yeah.
probably until I was like in grade 7, maybe 8, and then we got thinner screens. And it was like the biggest thing ever. But I think that was while the computer lab only had like 8 to 10 computers, maybe. Like it wasn't a lot. It couldn't have been.
I just left high
crazy.
school when they were bringing in like the smart boards.
Yeah.
No, iPads weren't being introduced or laptops or nothing like that.
I had smart boards.
Yeah.
So I went to a Catholic school.
But I doubt that's not even a thing now because iPads.
Yeah, there's no point in smart boards now, right?
And now
Like,
I think I was learning, I don't know if it's passed, but they're looking at banning cell phones in school.
I love that. I think that's
Which-
super.
I'm all for.
yeah.
If I was in high school, I'd be raging about that.
Yeah.
But I get it. Like,
Yeah.
Such a distraction.
It's
I wish I
worse
could
now.
ban my cell phone from myself sometimes.
I've seen
Like, I
guys.
just like
I've
can't
seen
work
guys
that.
at the urinal on their phone.
Whoa, I've probably done that.
Have you not? Really?
Probably, I don't know.
It's a little. It's a problem, is what I'm saying.
Yeah,
I
100%.
feel like there's like a lot of logistics to that.
Yes. It's a
Well,
lot of
you got
um,
two hands.
moving parts.
Uh,
So, and you can't pay attention to where
no,
it's
phones are
going.
super addicting, and I think just for like mental health reasons, I think it's be really good to just
And
say, hey, in school or
Yeah.
even just in class. be
Or
like,
in class. Sorry, that's. I think that's what
Yeah.
they're doing. Banned in classrooms. You can bring it to school, but it has to stay in your
yeah.
locker.
Well, I remember even like in class, like we would get in trouble if we had our cell phones out. I don't know what the case is now, but I'm sure
Oh yeah,
they're just people
My-
have them on their desk and they're just
my dad, a management
Losing.
teacher, would take my phone and put it on the chalkboard, and when he wasn't looking, I'd replace it with a calculator
That's
Nice.
good.
because it was the same shape.
That's smart.
I normally wouldn't do that, but I didn't like him, so I was like, "Fuck you."
It's a little victories, you know?
Tiny victories.
Yeah.
He was an asshole, so I was
Yeah.
like, I didn't mind.
Yeah.
If a teacher I liked did that, I wouldn't dare,
Yeah.
just out of respect. But
When so I feel weird because I feel like I was in this generation where we watched all of the changes happen from like when I was in kindergarten to now, because when we had a couple computers.
or millennials,
like-
so we're the last
yeah.
generation to kind of like see before all that overwhelming tech and social media.
Yeah.
Like Twitter came out when I was in high school. Same with
Yeah.
Instagram.
Yeah.
So
And it's like that's the thing, right? Like we were still writing our essays on paper in like grade 6, 7, even 8, and then we'd type them up later. But then by the time I was like in grade 9, they just wanted you to type them. We were like, okay, and I still learned cursive.
okay, I was wondering
yeah.
that. Apparently, they're bringing it back. Apparently,
That's what I heard, and they had
wonder why.
replaced it in the curriculum. And it was like the grade 3 curriculum that they teach you cursive, but they replaced it with coding, like data coding and stuff.
okay.
Which is also
That's awesome.
very cool.
Yeah.
Yeah. And I'm like, shit, I wish I learned that. Like that's because it's just all like I only knew it from trying to like customize my Tumblr blog.
Okay, so you're around the Tumblr
and that's
days.
the thing too.
MySpace,
So
yeah.
I was like 14, 15, 16 on Tumblr when it was at its biggest, which is like the worst time to be on Tumblr ever. But also the best.
Girls were nasty on Tumblr.
I never got
All the subliminal messaging they'd put on there, and like they'd attack other women, but do it kind of like under the radar, sort of. Like it's right there, but it's like undertones.
Yeah. I was there when Twitter was like began,
Yeah.
you know, and Facebook when it started, almost when it started. Like I was like all the other kids where we got a Facebook when we were like 11 or 12 and we weren't like old enough yet. So we
Yeah.
put like our fake ages in, and I was like, yep, I was 25 when I started Facebook, and I was actually 12.
Yeah,
I was
nuts.
grade 9, first year high school.
Yeah, I
Facebook
remember.
on
Yeah,
Facebook.
high school.
Yeah.
I made a
We're
Facebook.
dating ourselves with MySpace.
Yeah.
You had MSN chat too?
Oh yeah,
Had
MSN chat.
My-
Yeah, it was the MSN. It was that.
Does that
No,
predate you?
that predates me
Okay.
just
Really?
by probably a year. Yeah, like because
Nuts.
like my older friends had MSN, but I was like, what's that? Like I
It was like
didn't have that.
pre-text.
Oh yeah, like
Wait.
it was like you'd talk at school, be like, "Hey, let's meet on MSN tonight. You're gonna be on MSN tonight?
Yeah.
Yeah, I'll be on MSN tonight.
Just chat room.
yeah.
This is before we all had cell phones.
Yeah, man, those were the days.
And it's just like, yeah, and seeing like those changes kind of come into play. Like Instagram was like 2013 or 2012 when it came out, something like that. And I know I was like in high school and I got it then. But other than that, yeah, just seeing the changes kind of happen. And I was an enrichment kid. And we had this whole, when smart boards first started, they, me and like another kid got sent on like a trip with our enrichment kind of basis.
What do you mean by enrichment?
So enrichment class.
Yeah.
So it's like the gifted kids class.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right. Yep.
Yeah. And it was funny because all the other kids in the class, they were like gifted at like science and like math and stuff like that. And I was just like the arts kid. So I was just like really obnoxious and like didn't understand like math. Like,
Yeah, but like
numbers
if
were,
someone
a
hit
lot.
a key on a piano, would you be able to? Yeah.
Maybe. Yeah.
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 Okay.
I would say so. Yeah. But we went to this whole smart board thing and they like taught us how to use a smart board. We were like in grade 6
Oh.
and we're like, oh yes. Like, you know, like learning. Yeah. It was a whole thing. And
Yeah.
then we didn't really ever use them. Like after that, it was just weird. It was like a big fad for like a year.
Yeah. I didn't get a cell phone until grade 10, and it was an LG Rumor, and it slid
Oh,
with the
rumor
keyboard.
too. Yeah, the keyboard. Back when you could text so much easier without looking because you just had yeah.
No
Now
internet.
it's hard.
Can't access social media with it. That kind of stuff. But
Videos were good.
I feel like I wouldn't want to give my kid a cell phone until high school.
No, there's no
Or not.
need.
Or like they called it the iPad generation, right? They just
Yeah,
give their kids an
iPad kids.
iPad, and it's
See?
like
Yeah.
fries their dopamine.
I had an iPad, like, but that was in high school. It was like grade 10. And then I actually did not have a phone, honest to God, till I was like 20. Like straight up. No, I had an
Whoa.
iPod Touch for like the longest time, but my parents weren't cell phone people. And like my dad still isn't. Not that he's like, he's against it, but he's also kind of just like, I don't know. I've gone so long without one. Like, I don't need one. Like, it's fine. And I was like, all right. So he's just in the shed, you know,
Yeah.
chilling out.
Here,
and-
read the newspaper.
Yeah, exactly. He watches the news, you know, watches this little Jon Stewart, you know, and just
Oh,
vibes
he likes Jon
out.
Stewart?
Oh
Okay,
yeah,
yeah,
he's a vibe. Love my dad. And but I didn't have a phone because my parents were like, if you want a phone, you got to have a job and you're paying for your plan because we're not paying for that. And I was like, okay. So I had like a stable full-time job and then I got a phone. That was it.
Nice.
So
I think it was more for my parents just to keep tabs, especially when I started getting older and like, okay, now I'm starting to go to parties and going to events, and they're like, just want to know where I am. type
Yeah,
of thing.
it is like
So-
a good safety thing. but-
yeah.
Can you just pull the mic down just a little bit?
Oh,
just
Yeah,
down.
so we don't block your beautiful face.
Yeah.
Oh,
Yeah. we started it like this,
Oh, so
and
many
it blocked
podcasts,
everyone's face.
so
We're like,
many
"Ooh,
podcasts."
okay, we got to fix that."
Yeah,
I
understand.
love it. I love it.
I saw a kid in a stroller at the fair
Yeah.
with an iPad, just
Oh,
holding it like this, grabbing fishy crack, not even breaking eye contact. And there's lights and rides and stuffy toys
Yeah.
and monster trucks, and he's just looking at the iPad. And I'm like, oh no.
There's something crazy too. It's just like YouTube videos nowadays, like YouTube videos aimed at kids.
Coco
Yeah.
Melon.
Yeah, just like so overstimulating.
My
It's,
cousin
like,
calls that
crazy.
LSD for kids.
wrecking,
Yeah.
Coco Melon.
wrecking
It's
the
really,
brains.
it's weird. Like I mean, I guess like I watch the Teletubbies a lot.
That was pretty slow though.
True.
Like it wasn't like
Teletubbies.
flashing lights and like
True.
crazy. Yeah, it was nice, wholesome, slow. Weird, very weird.
Oh.
Very like little
The baby son.
dinosaurs. Yeah, yeah. Like what the hell was that?
No.
I liked Teletubbies. Yeah, Arthur though. I also
We should get
was
really high and
Arthur
watch
kid.
Teletubbies.
Yeah.
Oh yeah.
I wonder if that would freak us out.
Oh, it's good when you're high.
I think I'd
Like
like
as
it.
an
Yeah.
adult
Yeah.
watching it,
yeah.
it'll be like, oh, this is kind of creepy.
That and the first 3 seasons of SpongeBob only. Like
SpongeBob.
three
I
seasons.
used to love SpongeBob.
Yeah, SpongeBob is
Oh my god, SpongeBob movie.
oh,
They made a second
Yeah.
one. I haven't seen it. But
Yeah, no,
I
they made a
it's-
3rd one too.
really.
Whoa.
Oh, I've only seen
They're
the
not good,
the
but-
Goofy Goober. Yeah.
Yeah.
Goofy
Goober.
rock.
Goofy Goober. Yeah.
Ask
Yeah.
Dryden if we can watch that later. I'm like thinking about it.
Yeah, I love SpongeBob. I miss all the. I feel like I wonder if the shows even like mark up to our shows. Like I used to watch Even Stevens,
Oh yeah.
like Family Channel, Teletoon, YTV.
Yep.
There's so many great
Yep.
shows. What you ever watch? What's with Andy was like a prankster cartoon show.
I think
Oh,
that sounds familiar.
16.
What's with
They
16, love
hang out in the
16.
mall.
Yeah.
The
Yeah.
Weekenders.
Watch like Totally Spies.
Totally
a lot.
Spies was awesome. That's
yeah.
yeah.
Some great cartoons.
I loved like Teletoon Retro when it was
Yep.
like a thing because
Yep.
my dad and I would just like the Looney Tunes cartoons. That's actually still my favorite stoned watch. Can we talk about that?
Yeah,
Stoned-
sure.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's legal.
I'm open about it.
I'm wearing literally pothead socks right now.
I
Are you
know-
really?
I noticed
Yeah.
those, yeah.
Yeah.
Little
I
coffee
like
cup.
to use it in a creative. I'm a recreational user. I like to use it for creative purposes.
Can't relate. But I
I had my days,
yeah.
for
Yeah.
sure. Maybe my parents don't know about that, but they do now. So my mom listens to every podcast.
Here we are.
Oh no. Mrs.
Oh,
Wamsley.
It's such a chill thing though, you know?
Oh my
You
gosh,
just
yeah.
chill and just you watch something and you just get in touch with yourself a little bit more
Well,
and that's
I have
it.
friends that were super against it, and it's just the stigma I think
Yeah.
societally. And they tried it for the first time in their like 20s. I know people tried it first time in their 30s, like, oh,
Exactly.
What's the big deal?
Right?
And I
This
was
is
like,
fun.
this is what I've been saying.
Yeah.
It's like there's a difference between getting high and getting stoned. They're two different
Yes.
things. And I said, for the
Yes.
most part, most people are just high.
Yeah.
There are people who love to get stoned, and
Mm-hmm.
some people are stoned 24/7, and they
Yeah.
function.
Mm-hmm.
I have friends who
can't.
are stoned all the time, and they're just highly functional, and they have great lives, great family, great job, do well, very successful.
Yeah,
But
I'm the
they're
same.
just
yeah.
stoned.
That's the thing. Like I function just like very not
Yeah.
stoned, but like yeah. But like I don't know. I find it's like my tolerance is very very high
Yeah.
for a lot of things. So it's like yeah, I was so anti and like when I was like 14, I was
So
like,
was I.
Yeah,
God,
yeah.
like,
I mean, that's
can't
probably
believe it.
These
Like,
losers,
yeah,
like they're gonna ruin their
losers.
life.
Ugh,
I mean,
yeah.
that's probably a good thing to be at age 14.
Yeah,
Yeah,
because
you probably
you're
don't wanna-
pruning,
you
you're
don't wanna-
developing.
you don't
You
wanna be
shouldn't do
pro
it too
drugs
much.
at
Yeah.
14.
Well, it's like 25 is kind of the age when your brain stops. My wife
Yeah.
likes to joke guys are 40 or 50, but girls 25.
I like the way she thinks.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But it's like, I mean, really, you really shouldn't until you're
No, I think
25.
when your brain's not fully developed, I think it does like disrupt your neural pathways.
Oh,
For sure.
definitely. Yeah, I don't know how many things were disrupted when I turned like 19 because I started smoking it kind of around then. and
I was
then-
about that age, yeah.
14 and a
Yeah.
half.
yeah, you think.
Yeah.
No, it was one of those things where I kind of started and then I was like, oh, I was like, this is it.
Yeah,
And I was
what's
like,
the
cool.
big deal?
Yeah, and I find that's with most people. Like they're so like, oh, and then they do
Well,
it and they're like, oh.
And they
Okay.
compare it, all they know is alcohol, right? So they're comparing it to being
Yeah.
drunk. And I'm like,
Yeah.
no, it's nothing like that.
Yeah.
It's nothing like
Well,
that.
Do you guys ever have you seen that All Stars cartoon To the Rescue short where it was like a whole bunch of different cartoons in the 90s and it was put on by like the president of the US at that time and it was like it was an anti-weed
Oh, really?
30-minute thing and there was like Bugs Bunny was in it and like Alvin and the Chipmunks and like
Telling us not to smoke weed.
yeah.
No,
And my French teacher showed it to us when we were in like grade 5 and it was in French so I'm like I don't even know what
yeah. Nice try.
c'est un pot. Like, no, it's not.
Well, it was the whole war on drugs. What president was that? Was
Yeah.
it Reagan?
Nixon.
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 No, is it Nixon?
I'm not.
Hit-
I'm
okay,
not
so
political. I would
ask
know.
Chad. What presidential
drug?
candidate did the war on drugs? But it was more his wife that was going after. No, well, they all pushed it, but the one of these, I think it was the 80s that started it. Do you know the whole history on that? So
Not really.
President Nixon. I was right somehow.
good for you.
Excellent.
And it was
you,
his wife
thank
that was like her thing. Because you know how like the first lady kind of like they have a couple things they focus on. That was her thing.
Public
Oh
Enemy
yeah, and then
number
Reagan,
one.
because I was gonna say
Okay,
Reagan
yeah.
was a
So
big
I
one.
said Reagan.
This
yeah.
might have been during the 80s then or the early 90s, but it was like it was a weird short. It's on YouTube like in its entirety. If you ever want something that's funny to watch when you're high, it is actually really
I
funny.
love the Teletoon. That's
Oh yeah.
8 o'clock. They came on. Ended at 9. I had to go to bed. That was my like ritual at night. And my dad grew up on Teletoons, but
Bugs Bunny and Tweety Show.
Bugs Bunny
Yeah,
Tweety
that's
Show.
solid.
Although they took out Pepe Le Pew, it was a little bit
Yeah.
Rapey
I feel
little,
bad 'cause
rapey
I
little
didn't-
skunk.
I didn't realize that as a kid, but he was my favorite because he was always around at Valentine's Day and he'd have the little skunk things with the
He was
hearts and stuff, which
seductive.
now is he's just
Seductive little
forcefully
skunk.
seductive.
Yeah.
There's
My
that
little
argument. There's that argument about like let's just cancel and erase him, and then there's the other argument of like let's not, and then let's teach them people why this is bad.
I think there's way
Yeah.
worse things on TV now.
to be honest, yeah. And I think like I like when they put like a little disclaimer kind of at the beginning of a short and they're like, hey, so this reflected views back then, doesn't reflect the company now. Enjoy the short. Like,
Yeah.
you know what I mean?
Well, it's people they were canceling Dr. Seuss and all
Yeah,
these
wasn't he
people.
super
And I'm
racist?
all about inclusion and communities and
Yeah.
like, but it, like the cancel culture just got out of hand. I think.
I
Yeah.
think sometimes picking things that are like from so long ago just seems like counterintuitive because I'm like, focus on like what's happening right now.
Yeah.
And if it's still happening right now, then it's a problem. But back then I'm like,
Different
it's
generation,
completely different.
different
Yeah.
norms.
Yeah. Yeah.
Just so different.
so different.
It was
Yeah.
like that. Can you bring up this picture? It's so bad. Bring up Battleship sexist art. I wanna
Sexist
see if
game
this-
box.
Yeah, okay. It's so bad. Okay.
Oh,
click.
that one.
Yes.
Oh,
Yeah.
So it's like, what does it say? Fun for the whole family, and it's the dad and the son playing, and then the wife and the
women.
daughter
Oh,
are doing
that's
dishes in the
sick.
background.
I love that.
So bad. But like that was normal.
horrible. Yeah.
Like
I love it.
women
I
didn't
don't,
work.
but-
They stayed at home. Like
Yeah.
they took care of the family. That was normal back then.
Yeah.
And then Med played board games.
And battleships are masculine, right? Military. So that was normal back then. But oh my.
I
like,
bet the wife would just come in there and absolutely deck the husband
For
at
sure.
Battleship. You know what
For
I mean?
sure. For sure.
She's been waiting on that win for
Just
a
a-
while.
Just a different time.
Yeah. And that's the thing, right? Like you can judge the time for what it was, but you can't like really judge it for like in comparison to now. Like it's, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
Everything just changes. Like, and it's just, that's how it works. Right. So
Yeah.
it's not going to stay the same.
And I think my nana was a bit of a thorn in the rose bush, but she was very like anti-religion, but like back in the 50s.
What a queen.
And she like when she got married back in the 50s, they were like forcing her to get married in the church. And if you get married at the church, they're forcing your kids to go to this church and you have to sign a contract. And she was like, no, like
So weird.
fuck you.
Yeah.
This is back in the 50s
Oh yeah.
or 60s. No, it would have been the 50s probably.
Wow.
Now she's a little too outspoken about it. I'm not religious, but I don't like to
No.
stamp on people's beliefs and
No.
stuff.
No. No.
My nana, not so much. That's okay. That's
Who
all
is
right.
she? What's their contact?
She's 85.
New friend.
She's 85.
I love it. I
Loves to
love it.
drink beer and play poker. So
Oh, sick.
she's a beauty. She was supposed to come on the
Oh,
week after
yeah.
you, but I was
Oh.
sick.
Yeah.
I was sick that week. So
Queen. That's
We'll-
awesome.
we'll
Well, I
get-
can't wait for her episode.
Oh,
That's
she's
Really
amazing.
amazing. Yeah.
she's a newfie. Moved over here, I think in the 40s or something, with her family to Hamilton, and then had my dad, raised my dad there.
Yep.
And she's like, I don't know, I don't even know what I would talk about. And I was like, Nana. I said, you've told me stories of your. She comes from a family of 12. Her dad almost got drafted to the New York Rangers back in like 1920s or 30s for baseball, and he turned it down. Very different time, not as much money back then.
Yeah.
Her brothers used to dive off the coast and steal lobsters out of lobster traps, and
Oh,
she was a
sick.
911 dispatcher, and like
So you have 85 years. Like,
Wow, what do you-
find something?
experienced World War II, the Great
Yeah.
Depression. Like she talks about the Great Depression, and like her mom used to run a restaurant, and she would use the leftover whatever they had bread to make bread pudding, and that's why her favorite dish is bread pudding.
Cute.
And like the moon landing and like literally everything.
Yeah.
The
That's
birth of
amazing.
the internet and
Yep.
television and color television. And
Dude,
she's like, I don't know what to talk about. Like, what are you talking about?
I know what. Yeah.
So all my aunts or uncles are like, you got to go on. You have to go on.
Cool. That's
But
so cool.
I am very excited to have her on.
Yeah.
Wow, we've been all over the place, but this is fun.
Yeah.
What were we talking about? Oh yeah, we were talking about cannabis. So you don't know the history about why it was banned and stuff?
No, I just
Okay.
figured it's because they hadn't smoked it yet.
No. So it like I think from 1900s to whenever it was banned, 30s or 40s, I forget. It was around,
Yeah.
not illegal. And then it was one of the guys who owned a toilet paper company and like a paper company, and that's how he made his millions, was off of cutting trees down and making paper.
Yeah.
And hemp is a great alternative. Great, you can make clothing out of it, you can make paper out of it, you can build with it. It's super, like, it's almost like natural fiberglass.
Yeah.
And so this hemp started coming out, and hemp is related to like marijuana plants, and it looks identical. And so to make sure he's still making his millions, he like paid off these politicians or whatever, and to label this hemp and cannabis as like this bad drug that made people go crazy and kill people. And so then the government slowly like rolled this illegal ban out, and then that way he could keep producing paper and toilet paper. And you could probably look this up. I don't know his name. A dirt bag. But that's where it stems from.
Yeah.
And then the government just kind of pushed it after that.
Yeah.
And then like all the psychoactive stuff in the 60s, that was to stop hippies and the whole anti-war movement in Vietnam. And but cannabis was always like DuPont. Yeah, that's the fucker.
Canada's got to be more
Yeah,
chill
As long
in
as
its
it
history,
wasn't
maybe.
Dunder Mifflin.
So the
Yeah.
theory is hemp is a versatile plant related to cannabis, posed as a threat to the paper and synthetic fiber industries. Hemp could produce paper more sustainably and cheaply than wood pulp, threatening Hart's paper interests. Similarly, DuPont's new synthetic fiber like nylon would be competition for hemp-based fibers. And so they kind of like, what's that word? Lobbied. So they lobbied the government to ban all this and make it illegal.
So
Yeah.
silly, because like, why wouldn't, as a business person, why wouldn't you just like, hey, I'm gonna
Buy all the hemp
invest,
fields? Or
invest in it.
maybe he had acres of forest
Yeah.
he already owned or something. But
What's that power play?
and it's about
Yeah.
money, really.
Yeah.
And then boom, all these people are going to jail for a joint in their, in their fingers.
It's still weird, the legality on it too. Like there's stuff like I didn't know. Even like if you have like an open case of weed, you have to actually keep it in your trunk the same way you do with alcohol.
Yeah.
And I had no clue about that. But
Yeah. Unsealed.
yeah, I heard about it. Never have done it. Yeah, like, and you can't keep it in your own case. You can't keep it in.
And I think technically you're not supposed to walk around smoking in public. It has to be on your own property. Like, because you can't publicly walk around with a beer in your hand, right?
No, but I mean, I don't actually know if you
wanna
can't
do you wanna
publicly
check that?
smoke.
I don't think you can because it's considered like alcohol. It's like a substance that you can't publicly consume. People do, obviously.
Yes.
Oh, you can.
Oh,
I
you
was
can.
gonna say
In Ontario,
I
yeah.
thought so because I'm like enclosed. Yeah, you just can't.
Adults
do it
19 and over can generally smoke a vape cannabis in many public areas where smoking tobacco. Oh, so where tobacco's allowed.
That's what I thought. I was like, wherever somebody can smoke a cigarette, you can smoke weed.
Huh.
Generally
Which
prohibited for
actually
But not
leads-
alcohol.
I was just thinking about this story. My dad and I went to the X back in August, and we both brought joints, but neither of us brought a lighter because we thought the other person did.
classic.
And so we were like, turns out you can't buy a lighter anywhere at the exhibition. Anywhere.
Whoa.
You can't. You can't. We talked to almost every vendor. We even talked to like the guy who was like literally the 420 like pot vendor.
You didn't have
He's
a
like,
lighter?
he had one in his pocket.
Oh.
He was like, I've got one in my pocket. You just have to bring it back. And we were like, no, you don't know how to get back here. It's too big. So we went to like this, we just found other people smoking. And so we were like, that's our best bet. And we met this guy named Sanchez who was from like Chicago. And then he almost got in an argument with my dad about, he said the States has the best weed. And my dad was like,
Have you
actually,
heard of Vancouver?
yeah,
They were making the best
Yeah.
weed before weed was legal.
honestly. And I was like, actually, no. And then dad's like about to start going off about, Americans. And I'm like, Dad, just don't, not here. Like, no,
I
your
also
limit,
don't
please,
know
limit.
how it's regulated there.
Yeah.
Like, I was in
In
New
the
York City
States?
recently, and there are dispensaries around in New York City, which I was like, oh, I didn't know it was legal
You
here.
can buy weed at bars.
New York?
I was in Nashville. There was bars that had like little fridges,
What?
and there was like selling weed drinks and
Oh,
pot
so
and
like
stuff.
independent retailers almost.
Yeah, just
Because
like,
here it works like the LCBO. It's
Mhm.
governmently controlled.
Yeah. And like different states have different laws. Like I know that.
Yeah.
So like New York, I know it's legal. Washington State, it's legal. California, obviously. it's
I
legal in
think Las
California.
Vegas City is
Yeah.
legal, but Nevada is not.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes. Yeah.
They have a lot of loopholes.
It's weird.
Like in the city
Lawless.
itself, prostitution, weed, and things like that are legal. As soon as you
Fun
leave
stuff.
the city,
Like you're
super
using
illegal.
the cat's paws to like tell your story.
Yeah.
Also, like you're talking with
Prostitutes.
Cooper loves prostitutes.
Oh, Cooper.
I feel like he probably would.
He would.
Yeah,
He's very demandy.
he is a diva.
Yeah,
Give
That
him that.
slow blink there,
I'm just trying to tame him. So
he's
he
loving that.
doesn't
That does
interrupt
look
the
nice.
conversation.
Oh, he's so chill.
Keep him here.
Yeah.
Yeah, well, that's the history on why cannabis is illegal.
I like how we got into the weed topic.
Yeah,
I knew it was gonna. Today, I literally was like, I know somehow I'm gonna bring up weed or somebody's gonna bring it up, and then I won't shut up about it.
I had
so.
I had no idea. I usually
know?
don't know if people are into it. Like
Yeah.
I haven't really been outspoken about it just because of the stigma.
Yeah. Well, you're
but-
part of the problem then, Drew.
Yeah. True.
Well, I'm very responsible. I do a lot of different
Yeah.
things, and it'd be different if my life was shambles. It'd be a different story.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And I think there's a difference between like doing nothing all day and like smoking
Yes.
weed only. And don't get me wrong, did that during the pandemic. Friggin' awesome. Like you got paid to stay home and get stoned and play video games. Like it was
Yeah.
awesome.
Yeah.
I was like, oh yeah. But after that, like I never smoked before work. Like I never smoked before anything important. Gigs, yeah. Just because it's kind of like it wets
It's
up your
the
lungs
art
a little
form.
bit. And
Mhm.
it is that's the thing.
Art.
It's musician stuff. Like you're gonna smoke and drink before and during your playing. That's just how it is.
Yeah.
And it looses up your nerves a little bit and gets me more focused.
That's why I make cocktails before the podcast.
Exactly.
That's the idea behind it.
Yeah.
A little bit, kind
Yeah.
of loosens the tongue up a little bit.
Yeah. Oh. I like the tail just like smacking the mic. So
Please
cute.
just be nice. It's been good so far.
No, he's going through the angles. now.
He's so
This is where I
sweet.
wore jeans today. Let's cover those little bits. Yeah, it's definitely changing the whole stigma and stuff.
Yeah.
And
And I think shrooms are going to be next. I think they're already decriminalized.
not for me.
Yeah, no,
You
we
gotta,
talked
like-
about that.
I hate being that person that's like, you gotta find your strain, dude. But like, you kind of like, you need people with you that are safe.
Scene and setting.
Yeah.
Yeah, I get that whole thing, but
yeah.
yeah, definitely not for
Yeah.
me. So, but like, I don't know. I have a different brain chemistry. Everyone's different, right? So,
Exactly.
and
exactly.
the thing people need to be careful about cannabis, especially edible, is psychosis and things like that, and triggering schizophrenia. It can
Oh,
trigger
wow,
schizophrenia. That's a real
Yes.
thing.
Yes.
It's like one in every. I don't know what the ratio is. It's like one in every 300 people
Oh, that's kind of.
are prone to schizophrenia, and sometimes edible weed can trigger it.
Interesting.
Yeah.
Huh. Well, that's funny because sometimes I wonder, I'm like, do I have schizophrenia? I'm like, probably not.
What are
Like,
these voices that I'm hearing?
Yeah. And usually it's just like anxiety a bit too. Like I don't get paranoid when I smoke anymore. And I used to when I started, but it kind of like,
Was it part of the
hello.
stigma though that you were getting paranoid? 'Cause
that's
I remember,
what I think.
I
yeah.
remember when I hated going out
They-
in
they
public when
know.
I was high. Yeah,
They
it does,
know.
I know.
It was partially that, but also it was more like, even when I was doing it at home, I'm like, I would feel a pain in my shoulder and I'm like, do I have cancer? Like I literally was like, you know what I mean? But I had to, like
There's
years
a term
ago.
for that.
Oh, is it hypochondriac?
Yeah, that's it. Yeah.
Yeah.
I have a bit of that, I think.
I think only when I'm like the first, I would say 15 to 20 minutes after smoking, I'm kind of like, oh, everything's wrong with me. And then I just have to tell, like, it's just cognitive
Whoa.
behavioral
I
therapy,
kind of
right?
like that paranoia though, because it's like, oh, you think about conversations you had yesterday and like, oh, I shouldn't have said that. Or I think about a podcast. I'm like, oh, I should fix this. I'm doing this wrong. And it's like,
Process it a bit.
you process it a bit and you can correct things. And it's like, oh, I really shouldn't have treated that person that way. Next time when I see them, I'm going to apologize or something like that.
Yeah. And that's like, honestly, I do the same thing. I'll like post a story and then I'll smoke later and then I delete the story. 'Cause I'm like, that was me from 2 hours ago. I'm
That's
grown
a
now.
totally different person
Yeah.
now. I have grown so much since smoking this joint.
Well, and I used to, when I used to go to like therapy, so this was like after like mom passed away, but it was like we got into like topics of like anxiety and stuff like that too. But we did a lot of cognitive behavioral therapy, and one of the big things was I was actually talking with with a friend about this last night. And so I do this when I'm high, but she says every time that something in your head kind of comes up that is like a what if before what you thought. So anything like, oh, I did this yesterday, and then immediately after I'm like, what if they thought this? And then you know what I mean? You might not even have the what if attached to it in your brain.
Oh, I have some bad what ifs I'll share after.
Right?
Well, my
But,
house
like,
burned down, so
yeah.
every time I drive home, I'm like,
That's
what if my house is on fire
right?
again?
It'll be a constant fear, honestly. It's something like it's trauma, right? Like that's just what it is. It's ingrained and your body remembers it forever, which is amazing. But like she said, every time there's a what if, it's come from your brain. It's come from you, right? And she's like, then you kind of have to like really take a second to go like, okay, that was a what if. That was a what if.
It's a
that was what if.
defensive thing.
Yeah.
Your brain's,
It's protecting you.
yeah.
Right? And you just have to kind of, I just say usually, I'm like out loud to myself. I'm like, I just made a what if situation. Like I have to like sing to myself or something and just go like, that was fucking stupid, Hannah. Like just something dumb. And then I'm like kind of like giggling about it and then I'm like over it and just make it kind of stupid.
Because it can throw your whole day off and then it never comes to be.
No.
Yeah.
No. And I do this, honestly, I'm the same thing. I hear a siren. This is so weird. I don't know if this is like OCD or like what it is, but like if I hear a siren, I call my house sometimes just to see if the phone is still ringing because I know that if there was a fire or something that the phone line would probably be disconnected and wouldn't work. So I'm like, if I hear the phone ringing, I'm like, okay, it's safe. We're good. Like it's stuff like that.
Yeah.
You know?
I have cameras I'm going to put up just for peace of mind, just so I can just check on my phone.
Yeah.
Yeah. And I have like a smart stove and a smart this so it like I can remotely.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You know, you leave and you're like, is my stove on? You're like an
Yeah.
hour into a drive. You're like, there's nothing to do now. Like,
Yeah.
Flat iron, my makeup mirror, stuff like that. Like
yeah.
with lights.
What
and
burned down
cheap.
my house was a vacuum,
For fuck's sake.
a Dyson vacuum.
No way.
Yeah. So
There
apparently,
goes another sponsor.
Sorry. There goes another sponsor. We're really nailing the list down here.
Yeah.
Wait, who was it?
Dyson. Mhm. So, well, not to shit on Dyson specifically, but batteries in general that hold a charge can explode.
Yeah.
I was talking to the fire chief. It's like it's like one of the most common things for fires. It's like number one, I think, is stove, and then after that is batteries. And like the house that burned down on Hillcrest, it was getting construction done. It was a power tool that was left plugged in. And so it was one of the Dysons that you just put on the wall mount. So like they market it to you as, hey, put it on a wall mount, it'll always be charged.
Yeah.
But like the thing with constantly charging a battery like that is it can get fried or overcharge so maybe that day they're thinking there was power outages that day, and when it kicked back on, it surged.
Yep.
And then the battery just went boom.
Yep.
So
Yep. And I'm a big like surge protector girl. Mainly
Now I
because
have
music
them.
stuff, right? We have like a
Yes.
whole bunch of stuff plugged in. Everything gets unplugged after every practice, but it's always like that, you know?
yeah.
With an older house, like you don't know when it's gonna like just
Yeah.
right.
So I have all new wiring. I have surge protector. I put the amps up to like 240 now or whatever.
Mm-hmm.
Voltage amps. I don't know.
I was gonna
Yeah.
say, fuck.
Not really good with that.
No.
But yeah, it was a vacuum.
That's crazy.
Yeah, it was in a vanity over there. There's a vanity upstairs in the room, and it was underneath the vanity, and then the vanity caught on fire, and then it burned right through the floor. Yeah. And Cooper was under I had like an L-shaped desk here, and he was underneath my desk, and it was the only corner in this house that wasn't black. You could still see the wall here. That's where the cat was. He just knew to go there
Dude.
and to go underneath something. I thought he was dead for sure. It was like 25 minutes, 20 minutes of the firefighters like in the house looking for him. And I was like, he's probably going to be here, and here. And they're like, he's not there. And they found him down here. Carried him out. He's all limp. Smelled like smoke for like 6 months.
Yeah.
Oh,
Yeah.
that's the
He's got one life left. He spent all 8.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh my
Was super-
gosh,
super kitty.
man.
That's why I like when he's an asshole now. I'm like, it's fine, man. You be an asshole.
You've
Yeah.
been through
You
enough.
deserve it. You've been through.
This is just his trauma
Yes.
coming out.
Yes.
And we had like a situation like when I was 11 or 12, like it doesn't matter, but I was a kid. We had our house got broken into.
That's
Oh,
so like a
scary.
It was
invasion of
scary.
privacy.
We weren't home, but we came home. The door was kicked open, like straight off of the hinges. I don't know how the fuck they did that. But they took like all the electronics we had, all the jewelry, all the big things, right? But my cat was like missing for like, I swear, like 24 hours. Like she was just like somewhere. in the
That
house.
would be my fear too.
Yeah.
Actually, I have a story. I learned about this yesterday. But
Yeah.
Sorry.
No,
continue-
keep going. You can
continue.
keep going.
Is
That's
Oh, okay.
pretty much it. Like we got broken into, mass amount of trauma. It's whatever. Like I was like, you know, you worry it's gonna happen again.
I'm gonna
forever.
put this on the internet.
Like, the rest of my life.
So
is
cat was
ruined.
fine,
Cat was fine.
hiding.
Yeah, she's
Good for her.
as obnoxious as ever after, so she was fine.
She didn't
Sometimes I can't
defend
find
the
him,
house.
and I'm like, oh fuck, where did he get
Yeah.
out? But he's always just like, he just comes out. Like, where?
Yeah.
I checked all his spots.
Yeah.
He's got secret spots. My neighbor cuts my lawn occasionally. He has a riding lawnmower. So he cut my lawn the other day. I'm like, I'm gonna get him a bottle of wine. Bring a bottle of wine over to him. His name's Jim. Super nice guy. And we just get talking and stuff. He used to own this house actually. And then he's like, oh, do you know about that guy that's going around stealing stuff? And I was like, what? In Langton? Like, it seems so peaceful here. I said, I've never had any issue. I've never seen anybody. I'm usually home working, which is probably why they haven't targeted my house, because we're constantly in and out, high risk maybe. But he's like, yeah, so a week ago, we don't have a fence in between our backyard. This guy knocked on his back door, and this guy leaves for long periods of time. He has a girlfriend in Edmonton. And so maybe he thought he wasn't home. So he knocked on the door just to see if anyone was home. Nobody came to the door. So he walked in the back door. And as he was getting to the back door, they ran into each other, and the guy stumbled back. He's like, stumbling on his words.
Yeah.
And he had police on his back here. Obviously like a very poor uniform.
Yeah.
My neighbor knew he wasn't, but he was impersonating a police
hilarious.
officer.
Oh well, that's a charge.
And so he's like, oh, do
Yeah.
you know about the guy across from you there in the White House? And I said, no. He's like, do you ever notice the ankle bracelet? I go, no. He's like, yeah, he's on house arrest. And this is this guy's buddy. And this guy lets him know when no one's home.
Oh,
He comes, checks
yucky.
the houses. I go, mother.
Yuck.
Fuck.
Oh, I'd be making some Kevin McAllister Home Alone type fucking shit. in
Yeah.
I
my
learned
house.
this
Oh,
yesterday.
Yeah, I'd be ready.
Yesterday I learned this.
Yeah.
And this happened to him, my neighbor, in his back door, which our backyards are connected.
Oh,
But like I stay up late. I'm up till 1, 2 in the morning sometimes. I work from home all the time. So it's like I've never had an issue.
yeah.
But now I'm putting cameras up. I want to see if he is lurking around.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And he knows who this guy is, sort of. And he's like, called the cops, like, what are the cops going to do,
They
right?
can't- Yeah.
And I guess this guy broke into his house like years ago. He thinks it's the same guy and stole a bunch of shit. But like,
It's so weird because I'm like, honestly, the thing is, when this happened to me, like as a kid, it's created this, like, it was like almost a Batman type effect where I'm like, man, like,
vengeance.
yeah. vengeance. Yeah. Oh, I'm ready.
Well, and my neighbor's, he's older and he's quite small. Quite
Aw,
small. Like,
yeah.
I don't know, 5'4". He's small guy.
Yeah.
And I'm a big guy. So I'm like, well, I dare that guy to try it on me because I think the outcome would be a little bit different. Like I would,
Yeah.
as long as he doesn't have a weapon or a knife, like I would probably try and pin him down and have the cops come,
Yeah.
especially if he's impersonating a
Detain him.
cop. Citizens
I'm always kind of like, yeah, I'm ready. Like, pick the right one. Like,
I keep a
let's
bat
go.
above my bed. Like,
Yep. Well, you can't really do that. That's the other thing.
I
So when the cops came after the break-in, my mom was super funny. So she was always like, she's like, oh yeah, I have like the Louisville Slugger behind the fridge. She's like, don't tell me that, okay? She was like, oh, like okay.
what? So I have a diploma in policing. So I went to Mohawk for
Oh
policing.
no way.
So I know all these rules.
Yep.
And it's like equal force, right?
Yeah.
So if they're just breaking in and then you hit them in the head with a bat, like you can get
Yes.
But it's like, how do you know they don't
Yeah.
have a weapon? Are you going to ask them?
Yeah.
Do the cops want you to ask them? And by the time you ask them, now they have a knife out.
Yeah.
So there's no time to really be like, oh, hey, do you have a weapon?
I was
no,
just,
I'm taking a bat. I'm taking a bat to them
I
if
just
they're
thought,
climbing in
like-
my window.
Yeah.
I would freak them out maybe, like try to like do some theatrical thing where like, oh yeah, like I have like blood capsules.
your,
So like I thought if I put them all in my mouth and just
Oh.
went, what are you doing here? And then like just blood coming out of my mouth. Like, what are you doing
Should
here?
keep
What
the
are you
plant-
doing
Oh,
here?
yeah,
And just
that would-
freak them out.
Keep the plant
I
from your
would
horror
stay.
show at the.
Oh yeah. Could you imagine?
Yeah, come at him with the plant.
Yeah.
This 7-foot monster out of the door that's just like attached to like 25 sandbags, you know? Like, oh yeah.
Yeah, it's so different here. Like in the States, someone breaks in your house, you can kill them.
Shoot him, yeah.
No problem.
Shoot him right
In
the
most
face.
states. Most states.
Yeah.
I had like a step uncle and he kept a loaded shotgun just in behind the door.
Yeah.
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 And it's the rule is what is it? Birdshot, buckshot. Birdshot, buckshot.
Ah.
Birdshot might not kill you. Probably won't. A buckshot will kill you.
Yeah.
So it's like warning, kill you. That's like the whole American.
I don't think
You ever heard that before?
No.
Birdshot,
Me neither,
buckshot.
yeah.
I've only shot a gun like one time.
Did you like it?
So I was at a barn party and I was drunk.
Norfolk?
Very Norfolk. And I just had the rifle and they just kind of let me like, I don't know.
You were allegedly drunk.
Yeah, allegedly. And it was like allegedly a gun.
Allegedly.
And yeah, it was an interesting thing. But it was like in somebody's backyard out in the country.
Yeah, I've shot some guns for my bachelor
I
party.
love
Target,
shooting guns.
yeah.
I love shooting guns. They're so
God.
fun.
And now pistols are banned.
Pistols are banned.
Pistol banned.
I don't
You
even
can't
know
even
about
purchase
that,
them.
so.
My one buddy was like the last. He got like the last kind of round in.
Nice.
Now you can't even buy them. And then once he dies, they're gone.
So far, we've talked about
Guns,
drugs,
weed,
Drugs, guns.
the history of
Guns,
cannabis,
prostitution for, like,
prostitution,
10 seconds. Somehow I
can you
knew
put
that my
rings?
episode would devolve into this, but
cancellation of
cancel culture.
I want to say PewDiePie. He's a YouTuber. The
love PewDiePie.
French skunk.
I mean, didn't
Beverly Pew.
PewDiePie also get canceled?
Yeah,
at one point?
he was. It was something to do with Nazis,
Yeah,
but I think he was joking.
he was joking. It's been redeemed.
and
Somehow.
he's a comedian.
Yeah,
But I don't know. It's kind of an
It
area
depends
you
on
should
the-
maybe not.
the comedy's got to be the right.
It's got to be
comedy.
tasteful.
Yeah, it's got to be like not at the expense of the affected, but at the support of the affected. If that makes sense.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah. You're clearly making fun of them
Yeah.
or mocking them,
Yeah.
I guess.
Yeah.
Um,
Yeah.
There's this really good British skit, and they play these two Nazi soldiers. I've seen the skit. I don't know what show it's from, and it's them slowly realizing they're the bad guys, and they're looking at like the British and like, oh, I love their uniforms, and like, oh, we have a skull and bones on ours, and then they're just talking like, are we the bad guys? It's a great skit. I don't know
does
what
sound
it's
fun.
called, but it's hilarious.
That sounds good.
And it's just the British mocking. They're it's in good faith. They're mocking them.
Yeah.
Um,
Yeah.
oh man, I wish I knew the name of that skit. The British have great humor.
They're so
Yeah.
so
Um,
funny.
You ever seen like Little Britain or anything like that? Little Britain,
Yeah.
vulgar, full on frontal nudity,
Oh, really?
Of,
both
the-
genders. Like it's
Oh, yeah.
dicks, and I'm like, whoa,
everywhere.
not used
it's
to this.
Crazy.
Like it's not a thing here.
Yeah, it's weird when you see cock and balls on TV. It's like, whoa.
Just full on.
Yeah.
I love like what's her name? Like she wears like the pink tracksuit. She's like, oh yeah,
Oh.
love that, oh yeah, yeah.
Bethany or something.
Something like that. When I'm spetting a yeah,
Yeah.
like the
And she always has gum in her mouth. Yeah.
I'll just think about that. Yeah.
I like the wheelchair duo, and he's like he pretends to be okay. Just pull up Little Britain.
Yeah, I got
Put up Little
I gotta
Britain.
Put in my head what the fuck you guys are
I'm
talking
also
about.
I didn't record the screen,
love
Drew,
that
but it's,
one.
it's
Oh,
okay.
I started.
Oh, you're so good.
Thank you.
Yeah,
Yeah,
that's
yeah,
her.
that's
In
her.
the pink.
Oh, this second picture. Yeah, that's them.
Okay.
And so this
funny.
guy, the bald guy here, he
Yeah.
pretends to be handicapped so he just can be taken care of. But he's really not. When this guy isn't looking, he gets up out of his wheelchair and does stuff. And my favorite clip was he climbed a tree and got stuck in the tree. And then he's
Yeah.
like, how'd you get up there? And he's like,
That's the one.
I fell. It's like, what do you mean you fell?
I fell.
I fell. Yeah, that's literally the one.
There it is.
I fell.
I think there's the one I remember where he was like at the pool or something.
Yep.
And he just kept going and doing like these massive dives off like the huge
The
diving
huge dive
boards.
when he wasn't
Yeah.
looking. He was
Yeah.
I think the other guy was talking, his caretaker was talking to the lifeguard and he's just doing flips off the board.
Nice.
And
Yeah.
then when he comes back, he's sitting in the wheelchair and he's just dripping wet. And he's like, how'd you get all wet? I don't know. Like,
I'll have
Oh, I
to.
love it.
just
I
the,
love it.
the concepts are hilarious. I feel like, I'm surprised they haven't, I'm sure
I think
they've
they were.
attacked them.
Yeah, I'm pretty sure because they also did. They did a lot of blackface, like a lot, as far as I know.
Oh,
Yeah.
They did this early,
was-
they started in
yeah.
like early 2000s.
Yeah.
Just kind of before
Not
cancel
good.
culture.
Yeah.
He played was it like an author or something? I remember. He did full on blackface.
Full on.
Oh, I forgot about that.
Yeah, I think that was the main reason. Not why. I think it was canceled just because of like the show was just.
It ran for like
ran its
10
course.
years.
Like
yeah.
yeah.
And then they did Little America for a bit. They had a season on
I never
Netflix.
watched that one. Interesting.
It only ran for 1 or 2 seasons. It wasn't as funny.
Well, a lot of the times, like with skit shows, like the first season or 2 are really great because you can tell like the writers had like a lot of ideas.
Yeah.
And then it's like, oh, now the show's successful. We have to keep going. But then the drive to actually write good stuff isn't there anymore because you're just like trying to keep it going.
I think that goes
yeah.
across the board for all arts.
Yeah.
It's like that hunger's not there once you've made it. It's like,
SpongeBob season 1 to 3. I'm telling you.
that's the best, eh?
the best because Steven Hillenburg. I'm sorry, I know like way too much about SpongeBob.
That's okay.
Steven Hillenburg was there for the first 3 seasons, and then he left. He did the movie and he left because he's like, I don't want to do this anymore. He wanted to cancel the show. He was
Is
like, it's done.
Steven one of the main writers?
He was the main writer. Yeah.
Okay,
Yeah. And I think this is the other thing too. So he'd left, and they were like, well, we want to keep it going. It's like our most successful show ever, and he was like, okay. And he gave them like a couple stories for like season 4, but they just ran with it. And then it got like really, really bad after that. And then he had always said, no more movies, just with creative licensing of some sort. I think he made it so there were no more movies. He was like, no spinoffs ever, whatnot, that kind of thing. And then he died, and immediately 2 movies were announced, 2 spinoffs started right after. Like it was just
it's like The Simpsons
really
for kids,
cash cow.
essentially.
Yeah.
It's huge.
Yeah.
I love that show. You ever watch SpongeBob?
Oh yeah.
The first 3 seasons, I'm telling you.
Okay.
I'm always like, first 3 seasons, best.
I gotta start watching Bugs Bunny and Tweet Show.
Yep.
First 3 seasons of SpongeBob, and there was something else we were talking about. Oh, Teletubbies.
This is great. Yeah.
This is a good podcast. We've been all over. the place.
There's other ones too.
Some podcasts we like.
Adventure Time.
Oh,
Adventure Time is so good.
That's not even a kid's one though. That's like
so good.
I used to get high and watch that in university all the time.
Oh,
You watch
yeah.
Midnight Gospel?
No, never heard of that.
Okay, so that's a Pendleton Ward show as well. So Pendleton Ward did Adventure Time.
Okay.
It only has 1 season on Netflix. I think there's like 8 or 10 episodes.
Okay.
And it's actually on a podcast.
Okay, looks the same.
Oh, I've
So-
seen clips of this.
So it's a
Looks
podcast,
psychedelic.
and what they do is they animate the episodes pretty much. So a couple things sort of happen where they add things in, but they animate the episode. It's super, super psychotic.
So on the pod, are
crazy.
they?
Yeah, Duncan
Ad-libbing?
Trussell.
Oh,
for the
Duncan
most-
Trussell.
Yeah,
I
so
love
it's
Duncan
it's
Trussell.
that podcast.
What?
And so it's a bunch of episodes kind of pulled from the podcast and then turned into an episode of the show. And so they bring the people back sometimes for a couple dialogue.
Okay, and he's just
pieces.
improving with other comedians and stuff.
Yep.
I love Duncan.
It's really good. That's a great show.
His
It only
voice
has
is
1
hilarious.
season. Makes me so sad. But it's so, and he plays the lead guy there. So he's got that nice raspy. I love him. He's
Okay,
great.
I need to watch Midnight Gospel.
You will love it.
So I've never really been into anime whatsoever. You know,
Me either,
obviously
yeah.
watch cartoons as kids, but I've been recently watching all of the Studio Ghibli films.
Oh, I love
They're amazing. You ever watch Studio?
So
No, it's
Like-
another one I've never heard of.
So like
Oh my gosh,
Ponyo,
so good.
Howl's
What the heck is it
Moving
called?
Castle, Spirited Away.
Spirited Away.
Dude.
So good.
I watched Boy and the Heron recently.
I
Phenomenal.
haven't seen that one yet.
God,
I
it's
think
so good.
actually that's on Netflix now, isn't it?
So my
might
favorite
watch that
one was I was tied kind of between Spirited Away and Ponyo maybe, but now
Mm.
Boy and the Heron is my favorite that
So-
they've made.
My favorite is Nausicaa Valley of the Wind.
Okay, I haven't seen that.
That is a very cool one. It's one
Okay.
of their earlier ones, and
Okay.
I kind of knocked it off. I didn't really like watch it for the longest time, and then I did watch it, and I was like, dude, like what the hell? Like it's like a post-apocalyptic kind of area.
Okay.
They can't breathe. on air, but they
Okay.
have to like go underground and they can breathe or something. And there's giant bugs, and she's like a space princess. I don't know. Super
Okay,
cool.
If you like that, you have to watch Scavenger's Reign. It's on Prime. You have to like get their extra Prime thing, but there's a 14 free day trial and you can for sure binge it in 14 days. It's similar space vibe. They're stranded on this planet, but they have to use all the nature and the animals to kind of like traverse the planet.
Oh, that's kind of Nausicaa vibes. Yeah.
And it's adult.
oh,
And
Cool.
and what really got me into anime, I always thought anime was weird. I watched Love, Death, Robot series on Netflix.
Interesting.
You need to watch Love, Death, Robots.
Okay.
So they're individual short films, all animated. Some can be fully cartoon animated, some are computer animated, some are very realistic. And each short film is done.
Oh.
You're
Okay,
so
I did
quick
see
today,
that one.
Drew. You're on the
I
ball.
did see this one.
And
These are
each
good.
short is done
Yeah, I
by
recognize
well-known
it.
directors.
Yeah.
So like David Fincher has one in there, and Del
Oh.
Toro has one in there. And you can kind of tell, like the one I was like, this is giving some Fincher vibes off, and it turned out to be one of Fincher's. And
Well-
some of them are really gruesome and really fucked
Yep.
up, and some of them are really like la la la.
Yep.
Like one is
Oh, that might be, yeah.
this cup
really
of
cool.
yogurt becomes self-aware and then starts running the planet,
I love it.
which is
I love it.
hilarious to me.
Yeah.
And then like there's another one where these robots, it's post-apocalyptic and they're not sure what happened to the humans, and it turns out like cats like caused the apocalypse and they just wanted the robots to pet them for eternity. And like weird shit like that, right? But then there's some really dark ones.
Oh, is the one like the one where they were like army people and like they saw
Probably.
the poor people as like monsters?
I don't think
They were
that's
killing
in
them? No,
there.
that might have been
There's one where like you're not allowed, people are immortal and you're not allowed to have kids, and there's like people secretly having kids, and there's cops that seek those people out, kind of like the Nazis sort of. And they would like take your kids away. It's so like there are
Freaky.
some freaky sci-fi dark ones, but
Mm-hmm.
phenomenal show. There's 3 seasons now. And somebody recommended this to me and I was like, I'm not really into animated stuff, but I'll give it a shot. Addicted. And then I started watching Studio Ghibli, and then I started watching other animated stuff. So
I always love like Kiki's Delivery Service is my other.
I haven't watched
Studio
that
Ghibli one.
yet.
That's a class. It's definitely more
like playful.
juvenile. I would say like I watched it a lot as a kid. But it's about this little witch. When she turns 13, she gets to be a full grown witch, and she has like her little black cat with her and stuff, and super, super cute. Really,
Kind of
really
like,
sweet movie.
have you seen, is it Toro? Totoro?
Oh,
Totoro?
Oh,
Totoro.
yeah.
That's a little bit like more juvenile.
Yeah.
But I like the
That one is,
Japanese
yeah.
style of. So I was comparing. I'm a little bit of a nerd, so I was researching the difference between Japanese animation movies and American.
Mm-hmm.
And American really heavily relies on movement and action and things
Mm-hmm.
like that. And Japan is really fixated on like melancholy
Mm-hmm.
and staying locked on shots and showing landscapes. And they'll stay locked on a shot for like 30 seconds.
Yeah.
And it's just a person just walking through the frame.
Well, and they have these beautiful like watercolor backgrounds.
Yeah.
And, like just it's gorgeous. Like it's such an experience to watch. Another good one that's like it's one of Dryden's favorites, but it's just so weird is called Pompoko.
Pompoko.
And it's
Okay.
about these so my suggestion is to watch it in Japanese with the subtitles, because
Okay.
the English dub cuts a lot out and the subtitles are completely different than the English dub.
Okay.
So it's
Oh,
about
I
all
think I've
these
seen this.
they're raccoons, and if you see that thing
raccoons.
where they're riding on something like in the sky,
Mm-hmm.
not even that one, the one that's over down there, that is exactly what you think it is.
Really? That's
Yeah.
Oh,
And that's
really?
it's based off like Japanese folklore or something, where they are like these tanukis, and they're
Floating testicle.
they expand, and that's the movie. And so it wasn't on, I don't think it was on Netflix for a while when they first threw all the Studio Ghibli movies on. It came out kind of later. It's
Is
so fun.
Is it Ghibli or Ghibli? Probably Ghibli.
I say
There's an
Ghibli,
H.
but I'm not sure like what other people say.
It's like GIF.
Yeah.
I only say GIF because the creator calls it that. And I'm like,
Mhm.
oh, I'm gonna call
And
it.
they like shapeshift into humans and then back into raccoons, and they're trying to get back at all of these land developers who are like constructing over their forest and turning it into like apartment complexes and stuff.
Reminds me of like Over the Hedge.
Yeah, it's
love
kind
that
of like
movie.
that, except with like testicles. Like
Testicles.
that's it's actually insane. Yep.
I guess that's not true. If you include Pixar, I guess I have been into animation.
Yeah.
I love Pixar films.
Yeah. Yep. No,
That's
it's exactly
so
what you think it is. It's hilarious. And you're like, they're actually doing that? Yeah.
Getting teabagged.
And so it was fine in Japan. I think in the States, it probably had a little bit more pushback.
That's what I like about Japan. They're just kind of like, they're so different.
They just do it to them, you know?
I really like that. That's cool.
It's a really good, it's a cute one too. But yeah. And in Japanese too, like that's the other thing with Ghibli movies, watching them in Japanese and with subtitles, it gives you kind of almost a completely different story sometimes because what they're saying in Japan is completely different than what the dub is saying. Because the dub's just trying to fit with the mouth movements as much as possible, right?
I see.
So they kind of get the story across, but then they're leaving out the swear words and they say damn and ass and stuff like that a lot. And
we were talking with Brennan yesterday about there's this new technology out. They're starting to dub movies, real movies, but they'll use AI to have the mouth match the dub. And it looks real. Oh, God. There's probably, I don't want,
freaky.
You're busy today. You're doing really well. I don't want to overwhelm you here, but the first time I saw it, it was a movie about people, they were stuck on a radio tower. And I saw this montage of them switching from French to Spanish to German, and the mouths all matched.
Yeah.
And you can't tell. It looks like the actress is actually speaking German, but she's English.
That's crazy.
It's wild stuff. And it's just like a new thing they've been trying out. It's okay if you can't find it. It's a bit of a dig, probably.
Yeah. That's so crazy. Oh, not the Elon Musk. Not the Elon jump scare. Like, oh man.
Yeah. So are you a bit of a movie buff?
I definitely like movies. There's a lot though that I haven't seen that like pisses people off when I tell them I haven't seen it.
Have you seen like Lord of the Rings and the big one? Oh no, Hannah.
Really?
Never seen the Lord of the Rings. I've never seen Star Wars.
You're going to have
Ever.
to. So I have a cousin. He's never seen Lord of the Rings. And I'm like, you're going to have to. We're trying to plan a day so I can show him Lord of the Rings. So you should join. It'll be fun.
That's what we want to do too. Because the boys want it. Like Dryden and my friends, like we want to show me the movie because I've never seen it. But we want to do, Dryden's a chef. So like we want to do like the 7 meals.
Oh,
and
yes.
stuff, second breakfast and whatnot.
I was just going to say, are most of those meals breakfast? I thought that was.
Yeah. It's
breakfast,
the best
second
thing
breakfast,
ever.
11Z, lunch, tea, dinner, supper. Did I get them all? There's a famous scene.
Yeah.
There.
I do want to watch it. It's one of those things where like I know when I really like something, it's like my biggest interest for like however long it takes over me. Like it's like possession of some sort. But like if I like the Lord of the Rings, like so much of my money is gonna go into Lord of the Rings. Like
if you're into this stuff
Lord
and
of
you're
the
into
Rings.
video games and like
Yeah.
you will love it.
I know I will.
That's what
the
got
thing.
me into film, and my love for film was
Yep.
the behind the scenes DVD that came with it.
Yeah, same. I
It's
used to
like-
love special features. I used to just sit there for hours. And
This
watch
is a
them.
job?
Yeah.
What?
Yeah. Yeah. I used
and-
to love like I would watch all the like stop motion movies and stuff.
Yeah?
And like the special features on those, like watching the featurettes and the making of, that was like my biggest thing when
Have
I
you
was growing
seen
up. So cool.
who's the really symmetrical director? Grand Budapest Hotel. Wes Anderson.
yeah.
Have you seen his animation movies?
Yes.
They're good.
Yeah.
The Fox one I really like.
Yep. And Isle of Dogs. I
Isle of
thought was
Dogs is really good.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yep. I haven't watched those for a while.
The Fox one is my favorite.
Yeah.
I forget what that's
Fantastic Mr. Fox, I think.
Yeah, Fantastic
Yeah.
Mr. Fox. That's the one.
Yeah.
Amazing movie.
Good one.
So every year, for the past 2 years, we've been seeing the Philharmonic Orchestra play the soundtrack to the movie. So they have a screen that comes down and they play it
I want to go to one of
perfectly.
those so bad.
And it's like, I beat up myself because I get watching the movie and I'm like,
Yep.
and they're so good that you
Yep.
forget that they're there.
Yep.
And you just get watching the movie and you're like, oh no, what am I doing? I need to pay attention
Yeah.
to them. That's how good they are. And so we've seen Fellowship of the Ring and we've seen Two Towers last year. So in January, we're seeing the 3rd installment.
Return of the King.
Mm-hmm.
I did see the Hobbit movies, but I saw those in theaters with
Okay.
like, my parents. But like I didn't retain them completely. Like
It's-
I just wasn't. I don't know. I wasn't paying
Yeah.
attention.
It's still Peter Jackson, but Lord of the Rings fans don't. It's a nice watch. It's
Yeah.
fine, but it's not. I don't know. He went very CGI with it, and it looked almost like a Disney film to me.
Yeah, I'm not huge on CGI. I love because I feel bad for the actors with like a whole green screen setup.
And there's a clip of Ian McKellen who plays Gandalf
I've seen this
breaking
yeah.
down on set because he's talking to tennis balls.
Yep.
Talking to tennis balls.
Yeah,
Yeah.
because that's where the doors are supposed to be, right?
Yeah.
And it's hard for him to act. He's not acting with anyone.
Yeah. Because that's the whole thing, right? It's that like it's
Chemistry.
a give and take. Yeah, exactly. And like I love like practical effects and like
So you'll like
Love
the
that
original
stuff.
trilogy, all
Yep.
practical, except
Oh,
for like the
yes.
really zoomed out.
because there's the ones they do a lot of like forced perspective and
Yes.
stuff, right?
And all of
Yeah.
the orcs, all makeup, you
Yep.
know, everything's
love it.
makeup.
Yep.
There is some CGI in it, but it's very limited. It's like, I feel like that era between 2000 and 2010 was a perfect blend of CGI and real. And then 2010 onward, they're like, it's cheaper. Let's just all do
Well,
CGI.
And then too, like the '90s was really weird because the '90s I feel like relied on that early CGI like almost as much as possible, and so many like the big disaster movies that were coming out and like just the big blockbusters and stuff were so CGI that now watching them is like crazy. Like actually, we watched my friends and I we watched The Philosopher's Stone the other
Okay.
night because we like our little Harry Potter rewatch in the fall, you know.
It's
And
2001, I think. Or no, it might be 99.
well, it was 2001.
Okay.
I know that for sure, but it was like the animation, and that's all I can call it is animation, was like I was watching it on a 4K TV for like the first time ever, and it was like PS2 level, like just it was so weird, like it was so strange, like it was so easy to see now, and I was like, oh my gosh, like I don't know if they're ever gonna like do the George Lucas thing where they like pull it and then reanimate it, which I think actually could be beneficial. I think it would look great if it was just kind of redone slightly, but it was so noticeable, like so noticeable, and I felt so bad watching it because I was like, fuck. Like when I first watched it as a kid, it was like VHS.
Magical.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And it was magical and amazing. And then I'm like, I watched it like even a few years ago, but still on like a smaller TV. But like this was the first time on like a 4K TV, and you can see everything, like including they had for Hagrid, he was like a giant. They had an actual real life giant, and they put like a Robbie Coltrane like molded head on him, right? And I couldn't unsee it as soon as I saw it because it's just so prominent.
It's right there.
And it's so deadpan. It's like, and you're like, holy
Even the
shit.
hands, they made giant hands.
Yep, and the hands are just like just hands, and I'm like, oh my gosh, like, and they fixed that later movies. Obviously, the later movies, like the everything's super high tech and still holds up today. But the first like two and the third one even is a little interesting as well.
Well, Star Wars was like the birth of it, and then he made what was that not Miramax. Oh, I forget it. He made a company. It eventually turned into Pixar, actually, ironically. But yeah, and then it kind of like evolved. But even like early 2000s, it was still pretty new. Like people were figuring it out.
Yeah.
There's a scene in Toy Story where he has friends over and they're all running around. They're all Andy.
Yes.
Yeah,
No,
I've
I know
seen that,
exactly
yeah.
what you're. Yep.
And it's
Yep.
just like it took them a month to render that scene. So it's much faster to just, clone the same character. And even like Disney animations, you'll see they would reuse movements.
Yep.
Oh, yeah, I've
Yep.
seen
Especially because when they had to switch to like, was it like radios? I don't know.
Oh, like rotoscoping?
Rotoscoping. They had to change it because the company lost a shit ton of money after like Sleeping Beauty or something, because that was still, I think, one of their most expensive movies to date when adjusted for inflation.
Yeah.
And it made like no money back.
Yeah.
And so they went pretty much bankrupt. And that's when all those weirder movies started coming. Not weirder movies, but lower budget animation ones. They look kind of scratchy.
Yeah.
I like those ones though, but like 101 Dalmatians and like Jungle Book and
That
Sword in the
90s era
Stone.
was like, I think
Yeah.
the last little decade they did full animation and then it
Yeah.
switched to computer.
yeah,
Toy
the
Story.
90s, and that's like the best, one of the best eras.
yeah.
Like that's
Robin Hood?
everything. Well, Robin
Something
Hood,
like
yeah,
that.
I think Robin Hood was like maybe 80s, and then there was that Black Cauldron was like
Oh.
one of the ones that really
That one
dialed it
tanked.
back. Yeah,
But I like it.
I do too.
I like it. And there was Sword in the Stone, I think it was the 80s.
Yep.
And then it was like boom, Toy Story, and it was like Toy Story, Bugs Life, Finding Nemo,
Yep.
Wall-E, Ratatouille, and it just like
Yeah, and like Pixar is cool too because they had to like, for the longest time, you can see in like some of the older Pixar stuff, the hair is one of the biggest like
the hardest thing
to animate. So you see most characters either have buzz cuts or short hair that doesn't move.
Yeah.
And so like I think they made a new program both for The Incredibles when they had Violet's hair that long black
and Monsters
hair.
Inc. It was
Monsters Inc. as well.
Sully's fur. Yeah.
The fur, and then also for Brave, they had to create an entirely new program because of the hair is so iconic, and just to move it is crazy.
It's some of the hardest things. Like I've been playing Minecraft with my brother. He lives in Prince Edward Island, so it's just how we connect over video games to stay in touch. And one of the hardest things to do in games is animate water, like moving things. So hair makes sense, water makes sense, because it's like you have to actually program it to obey the laws of physics.
Yeah.
Like how do you do that?
Well, do you play
React
like
with
Bedrock or
environment.
Java?
Oh, so you're a gamer. Java. Yeah,
Java.
like
Oh, see, I'm a Bedrock girl. I'm like,
So you play on a console?
yeah.
Okay.
Usually Switch.
We did play on console for a while, but like me and my brother played it when it was like in beta. And it was like there was like 3 different blocks, dirt, rock, and whatever.
Oh yeah.
But now why we play on PC is because it's infinite.
Yeah,
It'll just
and you
load.
can that's the thing. It's way better.
Add plugins and skins. And,
Exactly. I was gonna say like if you add like 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 a plugin for the water to look better, like the shadowing to look better. You can't do that on Bedrock. You just kind of like hope for the best and hope it doesn't crash. I like the challenge though. I don't know.
I was a hardcore Lego. Me and my brother would have these Lego battles, and it would fill the basement.
Just
Thousands of
Love it.
figurines. So Minecraft's just like an adult
Basically
Lego,
Lego,
Yep.
essentially.
Digital Lego.
So
Yep.
I think that's why we like it.
We have my friends and I, we have what's called the Boycraft.
Mm-hmm.
And it's all the boys. We're all on there. And Dryden is like min-maxer to like the stars. Ridiculous. We have like a full castle. He makes like redstone machines of absolutely everything. We
That's
have the
my
item
brother.
sorters.
He's a nerd.
He like enslaved all of the villagers that he could find. So now like we just have an emerald market. So we have like a shit ton of emeralds.
That's
and
what
we just
my
can go
brother
buy-
did.
Yeah, and
He
they're
put
stuck
them in this.
there.
Yeah,
A bunch of cats in there to scare them. Yeah,
Yep.
it's crazy.
He makes like all the machines to get like
Yep.
XP and bone stuff
Yep.
and
And there's like the piglin
food.
farm. So
Yeah.
like he's hitting that. So we
Drew's
get our
just
gold
like, what
blocks.
the
Yeah, like,
fuck
you
are
guys
they
are
talking
fucking
about?
Yeah, you gotta get. Yeah. Well, if you guys
So-
ever want to play on the Boycraft, let me know. We
What
can just
console
add
do you play on?
So I play on the Switch. Dryden
Oh, okay.
plays on his Steam Deck.
Okay.
But
I have a PS5.
yeah,
So I don't know
You
if it's,
can play on
I think it's cross-platform.
I think it is too. I think like, I think you
Okay.
can still access.
So
it,
you're
but we have a
Nintendo
realm.
girl.
Yeah,
Okay. Ashley's
Yeah.
a Nintendo girl.
love it.
Loves Switch, loves Pokemon, loves
Same.
Zelda.
I'm a big
Grew up on
Pokemon
Zelda.
fan.
I never grew up on Nintendo.
I never grew up on Zelda. That's actually something I wish I did, but I think it's just, you were kind of like, there was like the two paths in the same wood kind of thing. Like I was like Pokemon or Zelda, and I was very much a Pokemon girl. Still am.
My
Still love
first
it.
console was, I did play Pokemon on like Game Boys.
Same. Yeah.
But my first console was a PlayStation 1. So I grew up with PlayStations and
Mm.
Xboxes. So I never got into the Nintendo world.
Yeah.
So like if I play Nintendo with Ashley, she usually kicks my ass.
And see, we were like a one TV household, to be honest. And so we didn't have like a console really. And like during the recession, I was one of those kids that was begging my parents for like a friggin' Wii.
Mm-hmm.
And that didn't happen. But like, I always did I always had my Game Boy. I had Game Boy Advance, DS, 3DS. Like it was
Yeah, I
very
had all those,
portable
yeah.
stuff, right? So I was really into those. And then recently kind of got a Switch and,
Switch
now
is great.
console play. The Switch is pretty cool. I don't know how they're going to top it.
And a Steam Deck is, you know what a Steam Deck
I've
is?
never heard of a
crazy.
Steam Deck.
Steam Deck is essentially
crazy.
a portable PC.
Everything?
It's like a
Yeah.
Nintendo Switch,
about
but
this
it's a
big.
PC.
Yeah.
Okay.
And you can just essentially play PC and just bring it with you.
You can have a
Yeah.
desktop on it too. Like Dryden has a whole desktop setup. I'm like, what
It's
the
it's
hell?
like a portable
Like
tower.
a laptop?
No.
No.
Picture a
iPad?
computer tower, but small. Really tiny.
Yeah. Well, picture like the Nintendo Switch, basically. Yeah, just
Yeah,
look
it
it
is.
up.
Just
Yeah,
type
just
in-
look it up. Steam
Type in
Deck.
Steam Deck.
You can also dock it as well.
Yeah. Who makes it?
Okay.
Steam, I guess. I don't know.
Oh, Steam,
Yeah.
right? Steam Deck.
Yeah.
That makes sense.
And see, I'm like, I'm not on Steam stuff. I play a lot of the oh my god, I play like, what is it called? I think Humongous Entertainment is like the brand, but I play like a lot of Pajama Sam and like Freddy Fish when I'm like,
I don't know anything about that.
okay, good. They're kids games from like
Okay.
when I was like
No shame
probably
in that.
5 or 6, but I honestly, they're just a point and click thing. And when I'm super stoned, I'll just sit and play Pajama Sam for like an hour. And it's the same. It's just him looking. It feels like Dora.
Ashley was playing. You make like a little island and
Animal Crossing.
Animal Crossing.
Love Animal Crossing.
That's it.
I haven't
can't.
played it in a long
I
time.
don't
There's
know
a
the
lot of
attention
memes
span for
on
that.
I remember. I never played
Animal
it, but I
Crossing's
remember the
good.
memes.
I've been playing Animal Crossing for a while though, like a lot of the older ones. Sup, dude?
He's just saying that he agrees. He likes Animal Crossing as well.
Yeah. Oh yeah. Like with the DS versions and stuff, like Wild World and like New Leaf and stuff, and
Okay.
like New Horizons, which is the Switch one, kind of like surprised me how crazy it actually like blew up when it came out. But I think it was the time and place because COVID just started and everybody bought a Switch and
Yeah.
everybody bought Animal Crossing because
Yeah.
it came out. Honestly, it was like 3 days after I was like home from work. Like it came out.
I
and
think
was
COVID
ready.
for a lot of industries was great. Like
Oh yeah.
video games, streaming sites, I would say probably porn,
Yup.
things like that, because everybody's home and it just boom,
What do you
everything
do?
skyrocketed.
Yeah.
And
yeah.
then there was that whole GameStop stock thing.
Yeah.
Oh, I wish I got in on that.
My brother
to
made a
this
lot of money
day.
off that.
Really?
Yeah,
Oh
he's
my
into
gosh.
stocks. Yeah,
Damn.
he's just up to date with all the
I have
culture.
a couple stocks, but it's just like psilocybin stocks because somebody told me to invest, and so I did.
It's probably a good idea.
and now I get these big pamphlets once a year, and I just throw them out because I don't know what to do with them.
My cousin invested in cannabis stocks before it became legal in Canada, and then it became
Mm-hmm.
legal, and his stocks went up, boom, and he paid all his university with it.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I remember I
funny.
thought about doing that. I remember because I was a huge stoner first year university. I remember looking at it and being like, it's going to be legal. Like, there's no way. There's nothing wrong with this. It's a plant.
Mm-hmm.
But I didn't invest anything.
Yeah,
I haven't checked my stocks for probably like a year, so I don't know where they're at. I also like stupidly I bought Twitter stocks right before it became X, and I was like,
Oh,
fuck,
no.
and I sold them right after because I was like, I don't like that, and so they went down really quick. And then
it'll rebound a bit, but it won't ever be what it
No.
was. I don't think.
I think I have like Netflix stocks.
Okay.
Um,
You can do so what I have stuff in is called the S&P 500
Mhm.
and they invest in the 500 top companies in the world, I think. I think that's why it's called the 500. And so it's steadily increased at a certain percentage since its inception in 1910. So you can look at the graph and it's just boom. So it's safe.
yeah,
But like if you slowly put, a couple thousand in each year and then
yeah.
by the time you retire you have 100 grand in there, like the interest you're making off that is like 88,000 a year probably.
Yeah.
Like maybe more.
Yeah, I only put like I think honestly it's like $10 in like each one because I'm like, so
See,
nothing will happen. But like I
had
just
a-
like to vibe with it.
I had a bunch of stuff in Wealth Simple.
That's what I use. Yeah,
And then COVID.
yeah,
So I was like, oh, I'll leave it. And then I bought a house and I needed it.
yeah.
So I lost like $3,000-$4,000, but
Shit.
I needed it to buy the house.
Yeah.
So, and I couldn't leave it in
No,
and wait for the world to recover,
no,
fortunately. But
no.
wow, we've covered a lot of
I was gonna
topics
say
here.
we've really like.
I like
this
this
is what
one.
it's like talking with me because I literally will go through a million things.
Well, I'm very ADHD. So is Drew. I don't know if you are, but
I don't know.
you could be.
It's very
maybe.
possible. I wouldn't be shocked. Like,
But we're all like, I'm pretty nerdy. It sounds like you're pretty nerdy. So
Yeah.
I like these kind of podcasts.
yeah,
Very eclectic podcasts.
yeah.
I don't know where I was going to take this next. Do you have a hard stop at all?
No.
Okay.
Nope.
All right. If you're vibing, I'm vibing.
So
Drew,
am I.
you gotta.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I got to get it out of here eventually, but
No, we're gonna do this till 5 o'clock.
Yeah, dude.
No, I gotta go do
Yeah.
folk deliveries after this. So
Yeah.
we'll wrap it up soonish.
Yeah.
You gotta go to the spa.
Yeah.
Oh, I gotta go restock Eco Adventures
Oh, nice.
and Nifty Gifty, I think, and maybe Wholesome Pickings. I don't know. A few of them.
I have to go hang out with my boyfriend's cats.
Whoa, that sounds terrible.
I know,
Oh,
sucks.
fuck.
Doesn't it? Well, his roommate's cats, but yeah.
Oh, go watch Love, Death, Robots.
Yes, actually, that's the thing I'm thinking. Love, Death, Robots, Boy and the Heron,
Scavenger's Reign.
Scavenger's Reign.
Yeah.
Yep. I also need to watch. Okay, I don't know if you guys have heard about this one. Sorry, now we're going on a completely
Yeah,
different
let's
topic.
do it. Go.
The Substance. Have you heard about this movie
I
yet?
had a friend that kept telling me to watch that.
It's-
Animated?
No.
No. Okay.
So it's a body horror movie, which
Oh.
normally does not get me. Like I'm not a body horror person.
Neither am I.
But it's all practical effects for the most part.
Okay.
So everything is like you can look and I'm like, oh, that's like foam and that's like I don't know. That's always what I notice. Like now even more doing the theater thing. Like I notice I'm like, oh, like that's definitely made with this and that must be like must be a resin on that and there's this. So that's always cool to me to watch it. But it's disgusting. Like it's like disgusting horror, like crazy. But the message of it is so poignant. Like it's so it's about changing yourself for like the industry, like as a woman.
Oh,
and,
yes, I know what you're talking about. I've seen this trailer.
yeah, and
Yeah.
quite literally, like her. Basically, the thing is, you get this substance, uses like your spinal fluid or something, and then a younger version of you, not exactly like, doesn't really look like you, but it is your consciousness in this younger person.
So are you experiencing this inside your head?
No, and you become this person because literally, she comes out of her back. So her back splits in half, and she comes out of her back.
Oh.
Yeah. And then
no.
her eyes, like a bunch of pupils form in her eyes, and like the second version of her is formed, and it's like really crazy.
Have you watched this?
I've watched bits and pieces, but only like in
God.
like camera footage, because I was like, I need to see whatever the hell this is, because it kept coming up on my For You page, and I was like, what is this? And I honestly, like, it gets its message across so well, because every time if I like look at my body and I hate it for a second, then I think about this movie and I'm like, nope, wouldn't change it for the world. Wouldn't change it for the world. Because that's the thing, is she changes so much that it's like you can't go back. And so I don't know if it's a narrative on
Like body dysmorphia and stuff.
definitely, but if it's also like on plastic surgery or Hollywood culture, pretty much, yeah, like Ozempic and all those kind of things, right? Where it's like changing yourself to match a standard that's like, you know, and this story is like she's getting older and she's like in her 50s and she's like on a dance exercise show, and the execs, like all the male execs, are like, oh, you know, she's getting fucking old, like get her out of here, and the kids will show, you know. We need like somebody new and young and pretty and hot and bouncy and all that kind of stuff, right? And so she takes this substance and then her new self comes out. But because the whole thing that's confusing about it, but not confusing, is that like she is herself, but she comes back after those 7 days of this younger version of her existing out in the world. And then she comes back, falls asleep, and then the regular version of her comes out, and she is like,
so she can go back and forth.
She goes back and forth.
Ew, this is gross.
Oh yeah. And it's so gross that it really gets the message across, but it's all practical. And that's where I'm like, I can stomach it when it's practical, because I know it's like fake. It's not like a computer CGI just trying to freak you out. It's like, that's corn syrup. Like, that's this. Like,
I don't do well with gore. Like, I can't watch.
Oh, I don't like gory
I don't
stuff.
really like horror movies, although like I can do paranormal stuff, but like stuff like Saw,
No.
Saw and serial killer
opposite.
stuff. I can't do serial
I
killer.
I don't like gory stuff. I don't like slasher. I don't like
gross.
No.
Okay.
No.
So do you guys believe in ghosts?
Depends.
See, I don't come from a religious. I'm what would you consider like agnostic, I guess.
Yeah.
I just don't know.
Same, yeah.
And so I've never seen a ghost. Sorry to interrupt.
That's okay.
I've never seen a ghost. But I have heard some crazy ass stories that makes me be like, this is how?
That's
how
why
is this
I don't
possible?
like paranormal movies, because
I have like stories, but like I just gaslight myself into like thinking something science probably happened there, but so it's probably not a ghost. But also, since working in the theater a lot and being there by myself, it's very haunted.
Really?
Simcoe Little Theater,
Tell us some
very
stories.
haunted. Oh god,
Spill the tea.
for years and years, like just acting there, you have little experiences, and it's usually on the catwalk. So the catwalk is the back part of the stage, and it's right over the workshop. And it's usually little things like you hear like just
What?
in your ear. And
Really?
I'm like always like, okay, like, no, it's fine. Footsteps, big one. But I always just would like chalk it up. Oh, maybe the building's just old, but like footsteps are very distinct. And so the first time I think that I ever had something freaky happen was just like a month ago. And I was by myself at the theater and I was just chilling out. I was sitting on the stage, kind of doing some blocking and just sort of like looking things over. And I heard footsteps on the catwalk. And at first I thought it might have been one of the construction guys, because they're fixing the basement like really big time right now. And so I was like, oh, like, you know, whatever. But then they kind of stopped and I was like, okay. And then I heard footsteps coming through the back part of the stage. So out of the catwalk and like walking backstage, almost as if they were coming on stage. And then the footsteps stopped. And I was sitting there and I'm like, what do you say to a ghost? Like to tell them to stop? Like, I'm not scared, but I was like, could you not? Like, I don't know what to.
I would have
like,
been terrified. That's why,
It doesn't freak me out too much because it's kind of just like I know I'm not gonna get like hurt because I know it's not like the movies. It's not like
So you've had full on experiences.
Yeah. Like, and
And-
it's weird. It's seeing little figures too. Like if you see something, it's usually, I feel like I never know if I've just like developed a spot in my eye or something, or if I'm like, oh, is that an oval shaped?
There is that
translucent-
concept that like maybe some people are just more prone to like seeing it than other people. Like maybe if there's a ghost, maybe you can see it and I can't. You know what I mean? So it's or like
don't
they
know.
just, you know,
I think
some
you
people
just
can
have
just
to
tap in more than others.
Just hang out in the theater by yourself for like 1
I
hour,
don't know if I
and you'll
On
be like,
drugs.
oh,
No.
no.
Then you won't know. You won't
No.
know if it was a
You'll
real
just be like,
ghost or
that's
not.
just me.
Yeah.
Yeah. No, it's
That's
weird back there.
wild.
And lately, this is where it got, oh, I got chilled. This is where it got freaky. Was I was on the catwalk probably a couple weeks ago, and like, you don't just hear like Hannah, or well, I hear Hannah. That's the other. So like that freaked me the fuck out. I was like, who the fuck is that? Like,
And
I
you're
was
the only
like-
one there.
I was the only one there. I'm like looking down. I'm like, Chris, Grace, like, where are you guys? Like, are you guys here? Like, it's just by myself. So that freaks me out. That's the thing. So it's like, and then I think I'm like, maybe I'm schizophrenic. Like, who knows, right? Like, that's my first thought.
I don't think you are.
But it's weird. It's just weird. And so you can't explain it, and you tell people about it and they're like, yeah, right. And you're like, yeah, like believe what you want. I just know what happened. So I'm like, it's weird.
Has
Like,
anyone
it's-
else spent time alone there and they say the same thing?
Yeah. It's
I don't
usually
think you're crazy,
It's
yeah.
usually the catwalk has weird stuff. Or if you feel like just little breezes, you know, but I always just chalk that up. The theater's old, dry, cold.
Drafts.
Just is what it is, right? So you might get a little wind gust.
Well, you
sometimes,
seem
but
very
I-
logical to me,
Yeah.
and
Thank
you're still having these experiences. So
Yeah.
um,
It's weird. I'm just pretty chill with it. Like I don't know. I kind of just ask them like, "Sup?" I'm like, you guys
just
hanging
talk
out?
to them. Yeah.
Yeah.
Hey, you want to clean the floor for me or something?
Yeah.
Grab that mop over there.
Yeah. Can you like lift the plant up? It's really heavy. Like, can you move that plant pot, please?
You believe in ghosts?
Oh, 100%.
Have you had experiences?
Nothing. No, I mean, nothing that I can like think off the top of my head. I remember one time I was in McDonald's basement, and I was like getting stock, and yeah, footsteps were like so like right behind me that I thought it was someone trying to scare me. So I turned around, I was like, oh, like, oh, you got me. And no
Yeah.
one was there. And I was like
Yep.
there
Yep.
was 100% someone right behind me.
Yep.
And I like ran upstairs. I'm
Well,
like,
it's like-
fuck that.
That same energy when you feel someone behind you. You know, like it's an innate
I know we
human
have six
sense.
senses, but
Yeah.
I think like the six senses all together make a seventh, and you're kind of aware of your space.
Exactly. In the corner
Yeah.
of your eye and stuff like that. Like
Yeah.
it's weird stuff that you know someone's behind you and then you look and there's no one. That's the most chilling thing.
Yeah.
That is really, 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 yeah, it's bad. It's scary.
My mom has seen ghosts, and she used to see this lady in a rocking chair in her house in Simcoe.
Mhm.
And my grandfather always used to say, "Oh, don't worry, that's just great grandma or something."
Yeah.
And so my mom like, okay. And then so my grandfather passed. We sold the house to a family friend of ours. And so my mom would go and visit them at her old house to see her old house. And they had a kid. She was maybe 4 or 5 at the time. And she's talking to this little girl, and the girl comes up to my mom and she's like, "Hey, do you see the lady in the rocking chair?" And my mom's telling me this. I'm
See?
like,
Yeah.
what the fuck?
No.
Yeah.
Like, how do you explain that? And so my mom's like, "Yes, I've seen ghosts." And my dad's like, "No, ghosts aren't real," you know? So,
Yeah. And that's, I think too, like there's like gray area in a sense where I'm like, sometimes it just, people really do like fake it. Like,
For sure.
actually, you know what
and
I
there's
mean?
fake
Like,
mediums.
And
People, there's scammy people in every
exactly,
every
right?
industry.
And so I think that ruins it for like the actual experiences that happen, because you're like, no, like I had this honest to God weird experience and there's no explanation for it. But then people are like, oh, it's all fake. It's, you know, whatever. Like,
Well, and I know some people that just could. There used to be this girl that worked at the winery. I'm not going to say her name, but she was just a little hippy dippy, like, but just could read you. And I don't know if it's just her and she's just really well. I just don't want him to breathe in that orange shit. I have essential oils in there, and it's not good for cats, but there are some safe ones. It's just that the one that's safe.
yeah.
She would, like, she knew things. She knew things that only myself and Ashley knew. And it was very private things that only me and her would talk about. And like somehow she would bring it up. And I'm like, are you bugging the place? Like, how do you know this? And she's just like that. She's just like
Yeah.
a medium type of person,
Yeah.
like can see things and like,
Yeah.
I don't know.
Dude.
And she was
the
never like
thing.
pressy about it.
Yeah.
Like, oh, I see you. No, never like that. But it's like to the point where like I was like,
Oh, here we
He
go.
gets really murdery.
Oh,
to the point where it was like freaking me out a little bit.
yeah.
And I was like, how could you possibly know this?
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
it was weird.
Yeah, and that's the thing too, is you meet people that so we have a psychic medium friend, and like there's stuff that she said, like my dad, who's like total skeptic.
Yeah.
I think she was telling him something about his past that like nobody knew, and she was explaining it to him, and he's like,
Did you get weirded out?
yeah. And he was like, what? And it wasn't like a generalization thing. It
Very
wasn't
specific.
like, it was very, very specific, down to like paintings on the walls and stuff. And he's like, okay. Like, all right, stop talking. Like, it's freaky, right? And I think some people just are like that. Like, I think it's just if your intuition's just a little bit
Yeah. Is it just
tapped in.
biological intuition? Is it more than that?
Yeah.
I don't know.
Yeah, because sometimes I feel like kind of intuitive in certain ways, but I think everybody
Everybody has a
does.
little bit, and it's like,
Yeah.
it is good. Like you should listen to your gut feeling and things like that.
Yeah, I listen to my gut a lot, so it's like,
Because I think your subconscious tells you stuff
yeah.
through different ways.
Mm-hmm.
You're around somebody, and you just get a weird feeling in your stomach. You're like,
Yeah.
okay, there's something off about this guy.
Yeah.
Don't know what it is.
Yeah.
And then they turn out to be like a serial killer or something.
And that's the thing, is like I'll get those feelings about people, and then I'm like, I don't want to say anything because I'm like, I don't want to like ruin something, you know what I mean? But it's getting impish, man. I love it.
Yeah, we're almost maxed out here.
Yeah.
Oh, buddy.
Is there anything I haven't covered that you want to talk about?
Man.
I know you're a barista. We haven't really touched on that. We touched on the play that you're directing.
Man, I do.
Come here.
Oh. So exciting. Look at him up there. Air jail. Oh, God.
You'll probably come down, but we'll see.
I don't know. I mean,
You're in a band. We didn't talk about
there's a lot
Echelon
of
that
stuff.
much.
I was going to say, we have the band. The
Are you
band is
playing
super
anywhere
cool.
soon that people can come see?
Actually, no. So we're taking a little bit of a winter break kind
Okay.
of thing. We're going to work on more for our set list and, building stuff up and getting some stuff done. And
Are you on Spotify or streaming services?
not
No?
yet.
Okay.
No, not
Just
yet.
covers mostly? Do you have a
We're a cover band for the most part, but I think we'd like to maybe start with some originals, which would be really fun. So, no confirmation on that yet, but I hope so. It's like my biggest thing. I would love to do that.
Yeah.
I love like writing and stuff. So it's like,
Yeah.
I'm not great at writing, but I love writing with people because then we all kind of like come together.
Collaborate.
Yeah, because
Yeah.
I like making like a really sick like juicy chord, because the piano can just like create something really neat. Like I know you'd ask me if I'd bring the piano today, and I was
No pressure at all. Like
No. It's just a lot. Like it would come in and you guys would be like, holy shit, like why are there so many things attached to it? Like it's just ridiculous.
Well, I think when we have the idea is to get an actual space.
Yeah.
And we'll maybe have like a little stage for musical guests or something. They can
That
set
would be
their stuff
cute.
up. But
That'd be cute.
yeah.
The Echelon will just blow it up in here. So it's like no, it's like I like creating some juicy chords and then giving kind of a topic and just kind of like throwing little like lines out or phrases or stuff like that, like and I hope to do that kind of with the band. Would be really great, and to have those
I've never been like
spiced up.
that musically inclined besides the drums, but that was like more than 10 years ago. But it's fun to see artists or like Taylor Swift work in the background, and she's like, she has a melody and then she's just trying to figure out the lines kind of like as they're jamming and stuff.
Yep.
And I'm like, oh, so that's how some people do it.
And it's like a knack, right? Like my dad is like a songwriter. That was like his whole thing.
Okay.
So my dad's a musician. That
Okay.
was like kind of like Norfolk Nepo baby somewhat, but like it was like a because people used to ask me, they're like, oh, your dad, like, isn't he the one, like, he was in that band and he was in this one? And I was like, oh, yeah. And now they ask him. They're like, your daughter's the Hannah, right?
Nice. Full
Yeah.
circle.
Yeah. And so he's like, yep, that's her. Like,
How
but,
the tables turn.
right? Oh, the
Or if you watch The
turntables.
Office, how-
yeah.
okay, yep.
mhm. And so he's a big songwriter and he writes some really gorgeous stuff. But
Oh, cool.
he just comes up with it. Like he's just sitting there, and that's it. And I think it's like you either like have it or you don't, right? Whereas I get almost a little bit too like not loose enough with it. Like I'm very like, oh, it's like this line has to rhyme with this line and this line and this line. And then other people just sit there and they like just come up with it on the spot. And you're like, dude,
There's
like,
a flow that comes to them.
yeah,
Yeah.
like, but I can come up with chords and like not even a melody, but just an entire backing for something. Like that's easy to me. Like just creating something. It's the words,
producing.
that's the hard part. Yeah.
Yeah.
So
Okay.
yeah,
Cool.
it's interesting. So I know the band, we would love to, delve into.
Some original music.
Mm-hmm.
Cool. Okay. Well, everybody look out for Echelon when they're playing.
Oh God, yeah.
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 Do you have an Instagram?
We do.
Okay.
Yeah. So it's the Echelon.band, I
Okay.
believe. On
Sweet.
Instagram. And then we're on Facebook as well.
Okay. And you do
Um,
some solo stuff too.
I do.
Yeah.
I do. And when it's solo, it's funny because it's so different because like the Echelon is like a rock band, but like my solo stuff is like slow jazz,
Yeah, I like that.
like vintagey covers.
Oh yeah, that's also what we haven't talked about. You
Yeah.
do pinup.
Yeah.
Okay, we should touch on that and then we'll kind of wrap it up.
Okay.
As long as, are you good for time there, Drew?
Yeah, like
Okay.
if we wrap it up in the next 10.
All right.
Cool,
Ideal.
cool, cool.
What is pinup?
So pinup is, oh gosh, never had to answer. Pinup, it's an aesthetic for sure.
Yeah.
It's like that vintage aesthetic. Typically it would have been like the girls painted on like the backs of like warplanes and
Okay,
cars and stuff.
my guess was like
And
1940s, 50s. Okay.
Yeah. But the aesthetic and the art of it has changed a lot.
Okay.
But it's mainly like dressing very vintage,
Okay.
doing photo shoots,
Okay.
pageants.
Yep.
Won a couple pageants. That's kind
So
of
there's
cool.
pinup pageants?
Yeah. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. So
Cool.
I've done, I think just mainly Miss Jalopy. So I won Miss Jalopy one year in 2019. Which
Okay.
was very cool.
Where is that
Um,
located?
It's at the Rockton Fairgrounds in Hamilton.
Oh, okay.
It's like a big car show.
Cool.
So,
Cool. Oh, that
um,
makes sense. Classic
Jalopy.
art. Okay.
Yeah. And then Motorama Mayhem is like a big one in
Okay.
Toronto. So I think that one, I got third one year, and then third another year. But yeah, that one's a
Cool.
really cool one too.
Cool.
So those are neat. And that's just like, you just basically dress up and have pictures taken of yourself. And it's like big on like vintage style, but not vintage values. Like it's very like, these girls could like whoop everybody's ass. Like actually,
Yeah.
every time I chat with them, I'm like, they could hit me. Like, it's like, and I'd be okay with it, but like, it's still like, like, you know, and it's funny because you get these old guys that come out and they say some really kind of weird derogatory shit sometimes, you know, and then the
Yeah.
girls are like, yeah. And like, they're covered tattoos all the way up the arms, right? And
Yeah.
you're like, don't fuck with her, dude. Like,
Yeah.
but it's like a fashion meets modeling meets just culture and vibes and
The only other person I've
Yeah.
seen do it was the barbecue place around the corner here.
Yeah.
yes. Oh,
Is that
yes.
pinup?
Yes.
Okay.
Yep.
All right. I
Yep.
thought so.
Yep. She's really great. She's
Mhm.
super cool. She's at those events too.
Is she?
I know she was at Jalopy this
Okay,
year for sure.
okay.
Yeah. And
Yeah.
she's friends with Susie, who's like my love Susie.
And
She's
she has a
amazing.
southern accent.
She does.
It's cool to see.
Yeah.
Yeah. I think she is from Alabama, I want
Yeah.
to say.
Yeah.
She told me once, I was asking, I was like, where are you from? Like, you're clearly not from here.
Yeah.
You look so different.
Yep.
Like,
Anytime I've chatted with her, she makes me feel so safe because
Yeah.
she's just like,
she's
how you
great.
doing,
Super
honey?
nice,
And you're
yeah.
like, oh my God. Like, thank you. But Susie Bombshell, she's the one that owns Susie's Bombshell Boutique. That's mainly how it started for me,
Okay. Okay.
which is funny because
In Dover, right?
yeah. So I was friends with her daughter in high school, and we were both like theater nerds and stuff, and we'd go see shows together. And then her mom was opening her pinup store, and I think just needed somebody to like perform. And I just did like my little solo set for like a half an hour or something. And I was like probably 17 at the time. Like I was really young, maybe 18.
Okay. Okay.
And I bought my first dress there. And it's been like that since. So it's kind of just, I have a closet that's just like pinup and performance outfits and stuff.
That's cool. It
It's
kind of
separate.
goes hand in hand with theater, I think, and acting and
It's a thing. And like pinup is kind
wardrobe.
of, it's kind of drag too, because you've got like a
I was gonna
different
mention
name.
that it's
yeah.
it's similar to drag,
Yeah.
but yeah, okay.
So like there's a lot of people that only know me as the name that I have
Your
with
stage
pinup
name.
stuff. Yeah.
What-
So like,
Can we share it? Or
oh,
no?
of course.
What is
yeah.
it?
It's Miss Lucy Couture.
Miss Lucy.
It's like
Couture.
Juicy Couture, but
Okay, which is
Lucy
very
Couture.
drag because drags have
Yeah.
character names, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
And so a lot of, and it works because Lucy's like my middle name. So people will come up and they're like, hey,
Okay.
Lucy, like, how's it going? And like, sometimes it's easy because it is my middle name. So I'll respond to it. But But then there's other things like my friend Grace, like her pinup name is Little Miss Mona. And yeah. And there's always little euphemisms, right? So it's always funny. So Little Miss Mona.
Okay.
So yeah. And they'll call her like Mona, right? But they might not know her actual name is Grace. And some I only know their pinup names. Like I know one is Red and I don't know what her real name is until I added her on Facebook. And then sometimes like their names come up and they're sharing stuff. And I'm like,
who is this?
Yeah, like I'm like, who is that? It's crazy. It's so strange. But we've all created this like Southern Ontario pinup group of gals, and
That's cool.
yeah, it's like
Good.
a whole.
You could do a
legion
lot
of
of
us.
good collabs with photographers. I feel like photographers would love that.
Oh, they love that.
Yeah.
Oh, they do. They'll call like multiple of us and kind of bring us all out for something, and then and it's like, oh, I need like 5 pinup girls on a yacht for this.
I was gonna say it'd be
photo
cool.
shoot
It'd be
today.
cool to make the stage it and make it look like 1940s. Or
That's
something. Have an old
yeah.
plane in the background. Or,
Yep.
I don't know.
Oh yeah, I think stuff
Hugging a
happened.
sailor.
Yep. Yeah, that's honestly, yeah, we do that. We do that.
I
We
just
did a
picture that
calendar
the most famous World War II when it ended. And he's dipping that girl,
Yep.
and I assume that's kind of pin up their like that clothing style. So
Yeah.
yeah. Okay.
Yeah.
Very cool.
That's the pinup stuff. Sometimes I work with a princessing company, dress up as a princess, but that's it hasn't happened for a while because I like to handle more, but that one's really cool. That's the glass slipper company.
Cool.
That's a fun one.
Cool.
So I'd rather like handling now because I'm kind of just more on the back end. I'd rather like just take pictures of everything and just like help the girls get ready and send them out and whatnot. But
That's cool.
that's another one. Yeah, it's mainly like the music stuff, the theater stuff,
Yep.
the modeling stuff, the
Cool.
barista stuff sometimes.
Any social media you want to share? Obviously, we have the play coming up, so buy your tickets. Simcoe Little Theatre.
Simcoe Little Theatre, November 21st to December 8th, Thursday, Friday nights at 7:30, Saturday, Sunday matinees at 2 p.m. for 3 weeks.
Your Instagram.
My Instagram is at hannah.dolson. And then
Echelon.band.
the Echelon.band.
Nice.
And there's also Simcoe Little Theatre Elf, which is the Simcoe Little Theatre Instagram as well.
Okay.
Yeah.
There you go.
Yeah.
Everybody follow. Go
Follow
give it
all
a
those things.
give it a follow.
Follow them.
Yeah. Trying to think. We covered a lot of topics
Covered a lot.
today. We covered a lot of topics.
That's right. We can have you back on. I feel like this is a good guest.
Thank
good
you.
guest, Drew. Talk about anything here.
Yeah. Oh yeah. I think I told you. I think like you'd come into the cafe and it was like, dude, like I might talk for like
It's perfect. That's what we want.
for 2 hours.
That's what we want.
But
Yeah. Cool.
cool.
Thank you so much for coming on,
Thank you for having me.
sharing your stories and stuff.
Yeah.
Everybody go follow all the socials, and we'll see you on the next one.
Thank you for listening.
Bye.
Thank you.
Adios.
Bye.